Joe Budden is a podcaster. He has a show with Mark Lamont and others, and Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, who you've seen on this show. We've talked about her talking about Nick Cannon and doing a collaboration with Cam Newton, and she's very much in this bubble. Actually, I forgot to look it up. I'll look it up while we're watching, but she is a doctor. When you look her up, it says right here, quick Google search, renowned psychologist, life coach, author, and media personality dedicated to emotional healing, self-empowerment, relationship counseling. But yet in this interview, she talks about how she's no longer licensed and does private work, which means I think she's now coaching. There is some controversy related to that. We'll get into it. But what's really controversial about her is how good she looks. That's really why people are mad at her. So this is her Instagram. She has almost 4 million followers. She is very popular. She's really made a name for herself. She is very much in this like patriarchal, heterosexual bubble. She is like, you could say she's in the black bubble. I think that's appropriate to say. She really caters to a black community, black audience. But I think also she tends to work a lot with men. And I think the men she tends to associate with, in my opinion, are just like, they're deeply misogynistic. And so the problem is like, it's not even about, I think it has to do with heterosexuality personally. I think it has to do with the fact that these men are still very like stuck in very patriarchal constructs and capitalistic ones for that. You know, recently Mark Lamont went viral with Joe Budden arguing capitalism. So they're very capitalistic. They're very much about patriarchy. And then here comes Dr. Cheyenne with her very liberal, though somewhat traditional kind of perspective, and they push back on her a lot. You know, they go after the way she looks and her education and where she's from. And so I want us to talk about that today because the clips are going viral. I find it interesting. And I also kind of hope for her. The one thing I hope for Dr. Cheyenne and when I watch her is to get out of this bubble, like out of the heterosexuality bubble personally. And the Cam Newtons and the Nick Cannons, they're just very, in my opinion, narcissistic. She told Cam Newton, you can't create multiple families and not have it be a problem. She told Nick Cannon, because he's diagnosed NPD. They talked about that diagnosis, you know? So she works with like very, you know, and then they're superstars on top of that. They're very, very famous. So now you're dealing with the celebrity brain. And it's just like, it's very interesting to me. But I would love to see her thrive in a feminist bubble. I would love to see her thrive with women. I would love to see her thrive in like a different context. But the reason I think she does well with the men is she's very good at not losing her cool with them because God, they try. They test my patience, and she handles it so much better than I ever could. So like, you know what I mean? These men. Anyways, if for some reason we get copyrighted midstream, I have clips I can show you from TikTok, but let's start with this. So this is a 3-hour conversation. I just timestamped the parts that I think are the most important. So let's go ahead and watch the beginning.
Oh my God. Hey, dog, we ain't doing that today. All right, so joining us today.
Oh my God, men and their sound machines. That's what I'm saying. What are we doing with these sound machines?
Hold the fuck up.
Oh, here you go.
Hold the fuck up now.
Now you do a flip. Come on.
Yeah. Come on, yeah. Listen, you might have seen it on some other pods, but they ain't this.
Oh my God, bro.
Yeah. Oh, yo, you was nasty.
I always say I'm a hybrid, which is an alpha
Hold on. I gotta.
submissive. So I have my
I have it at 1.2 speed.
energy.
I love that.
But it's in a feminine way. You experienced it, but it's in a feminine way.
I did.
I have my masculine energy. Yeah, and I love masculine energy. I just do. I have a thing for. I mean, I'm a daddy's girl. I had a father. My daddy's a street guy, you know. So I'm a product of a street dude.
I was worried that this room would be intimidating you or overwhelming for you.
Oh, okay.
But some of us acted like that before she got here. Some of us, that was our shit before we met her. You know what I'm saying?
Look, that hasn't even started yet, and I'm not to be biased, but I already know which one she's gonna fight with already because I saw it on TikTok. There's 2 guys here specifically she's gonna argue with the most. But this room is so. This is okay when women, especially since we've been decentering men this week, when women say like men, okay, this is the group, like these are men that I'm like, ugh, men. But this isn't the kind of men I'm ever around. Very masculine, very like patriarchal, very specific. Like, and I want to make it clear, it's not because they're all black men either. Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, like, no, it's because they're masculine in a patriarchal sense. And I think her coming into this space is important because patriarchal patriarchal constructs still exist deeply in Black capitalism. So I think that's why I like this. The problem is that I think she might be a Black capitalist, which means she might be a woman who feels like liberating her people through capitalism is the goal. I don't know if that's true, but it feels that way because she's a coaching business. So there might be some level to that I think is important. But I think you should watch, and this is why I say jump into all bubbles. Watch people talk to communities of like for their communities and learn their struggles and realize like all of our communities are struggling from patriarchy and capitalism. It really doesn't matter what your skin color is. Like everything they talk about today, you will hear or have heard in your own communities. Oh, in religion, traditional relationships, women having too many bodies, like all of that is in all of our communities. And so I just love the way she handles herself because this is a lot of energy.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. Honored to have you. Honored to have you.
Even the way she introduced herself is saying like, my daddy's a street guy. That's true. I've heard her talk about her dad a lot. Even that's like a play to almost get like being respected. I like my masculine, I like my feminine energy. I mean, same girl, but that's a play to the bubble. That's a play to these men. She's saying, my dad is stronger than you, scarier than you. You can't do anything to me. You know, so she's signaling to the group, right?
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. Yeah, let's go. What I said off camera was, I thought that I was gonna have to come in here and chastise you, Joe. Because y'all talk about me a lot on this pod.
Oh.
And my little brother would show me clips, and I'm like, okay, let me see what the fuck Joe had to say. Because if I got to come on this pod and chastise him on some shit, then I'm gonna run them plays. But I have to say this: you were giving me my props. You were asking inquisitive questions that I think were very relevant, that people want to know, but not from a way of disempowering or bashing or putting down, but from a way of like, I want to know more about this woman. Who is intriguing and she's very interesting in her perspective on things, not from I'm putting her down or I'm attacking her or demonizing or weaponizing her. So I said, well, you know, I mean, I don't have to come up here and chastise you or check you. I can just come up here and interview and give you some love and so yeah.
I love it. I prefer it that way. And thank you for being here with us today. Fellas, how y'all doing?
Good, man. I'm just happy to see.
Damn it. Okay, hold on. I am being copyrighted. So don't worry. I have a backup for this. I am being copyrighted by Joe Budden's pod. No problem. Joke's on you. I came prepared. Okay. So I had a feeling that would happen, but you got the feeling, right? You got the feeling? Okay. Let me show you the viral TikToks and we'll use that as our source. Look at this part. We'll talk about her work first and then we'll talk about the guys kind of going in on her. Look at this.
Under a license. I no longer practice under a license. I'm in private practice, I'm saying. And that's what people don't understand, right? So just to educate some folks a little bit, a license is really only needed so you can bill insurance. Majority of people who know that in order to bill insurance as a therapist or a physician or a psychologist, psychiatrist, you have to diagnose. So what do they rather do? Pay out of pocket.
That's what I
And
do.
so when I realized that, I thought, well, okay, it may create a gap within our community, our Black community, who can't afford health care or afford mental health services. But it also is a way that, you know, as a therapist, two things: you can obviously make what you deserve because therapy is real. We're giving everything we have in there. And we're unpacking shit and we're helping you process through things. So it's not us sitting there, well, if you're an effective therapist, saying, tell me more. You should be unpacking. And you should be able to take somebody and drive with them to their goal and give them tools. So anyways, when I realized that, I thought, well, one, I mean, I'll just be out of pocket. Two, when I tell my clients the truth is that in order to bill insurance, I have to diagnose you. And you only get about 6 weeks. In order for me to get 6 more weeks approval, guess what? And so I'm not saying that folks should, you know, not go get therapy if they have to bill insurance. Get the help that you need. I advocate for that. I advocate for therapy being a lifestyle, not just a intervention, right? It should be a preventative measure. But I am saying that for me, I'm in private practice. I make much more money. It allows me to have more leverage and really be hands-on with my clients. I'm not binded by BBS, the Behavior Board Science rules and regulations and ethics. And so it just opened up a whole nother, floor in industry for me. I no longer.
Okay, so obviously this was very controversial. This was the first controversy. This is very controversial for a lot of reasons. I do think it's a red flag. I can see where she's coming from, but I do question the ethics of this. Obviously, now she is not to be held accountable by a board. She could be causing a lot of danger to her clients. We do not know. She is not licensed, or she is not now practicing with a license, i.e. the board is keeping track. So I do question a lot of this, but don't take my word for it. Let's listen to a medical professional talk about it. This is Raquel Martin, PhD, and she takes issue with this. She's also a Black woman, so I wanted to use her as well. And I would just say this. I will say one thing that she said that was really important is that my therapist diagnosed me with borderline day one so she could bill my insurance. That's why I say I don't really believe in some of these diagnoses if they're made to bill insurance. I'm not saying I'm not borderline, but I'm saying I'm only borderline because she had to bill my insurance. That's the only way that one session, you clocked me in 45 minutes as borderline. Now, it didn't matter to me because I still did DBT and it saved my life. So I also don't care. But also the stigma of being socialized, or the stigma of borderline, is the problem is, you know what I'm saying? So I think we should keep that all in mind. Okay, here's the stitch. So they're going to play a little bit of the original clip and then a stitch.
A license.
why
Now I'm in private practice, I'm saying. And that's what people don't understand, right? So just to educate some folks a little bit.
For it a little bit.
Professor
Okay.
of Sciences, and my name is Dr. Raquel Martin. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, professor of sciences, and podcast host who specializes in Black health and well-being. And I want to break down a clip from the Joe Budden podcast featuring someone who presents herself as Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. But before we dive in, I want to make something incredibly clear. Having a doctorate does not mean someone is a licensed mental health professional. You can have a doctorate in literature and be unlicensed, and you are still a doctor. You can have a doctorate in education and hold an LPC, being a licensed professional counselor, and you are a licensed mental health professional, and you are still a doctor, but your doctorate is not in psychology. When evaluating anyone's credentials, it's really critical to look at two things: what their doctorate is actually in, and whether they hold a relevant clinical license. In this case, the person you're about to hear from is unlicensed. I'm going to break down why that matters and why this particular message is harmful, especially to the Black community that she claims to be serving and that I actually serve.
I would probably say, based off of my assumption, that Cheyenne is supplying celebrity people with therapy or help, coaching. And I have a feeling that Dr. Raquel is serving her local community. So I have a feeling, this is why I do take an issue with Cheyenne's brand, is that it might be a sensationalized capitalistic brand rather than a holistic. Even though Cheyenne has said a lot of really good things, I just think that I'm getting more capitalistic focused rather than community focused.
A license is really only needed so you can bill insurance.
That is incredibly misleading. Yes, you do need a license to bill insurance, but that is not why licensure exists. Licensure protects you. It means I have completed specific education and supervised clinical hours, passed rigorous exams, and I'm accountable to a regulatory board.
Exactly.
If I breach confidentiality, if I cross ethical boundaries or harm you, you have somewhere to file a complaint and be sure that I'm held accountable.
Exactly.
A license is not paperwork just for billing. It's a consumer protection. When someone drops or loses or no longer has a license, they're not solely avoiding the insurance hassle. They're also removing your recourse if something goes terribly wrong.
Not binded by a BBA.
Now, I understand, and I just want to come in here. I do understand that there is a hope within some communities to go around legal institutions in order to help community members in ways that the institutions won't help, right? So I also think there's that part of it where, like, some people don't want to help. I remember I talked to this Black woman who was an activist, and she wanted a dream community where maybe if your neighbor's a doctor, they can come treat you when you're at your house without you having to go through insurance and doctors. And I think that could be beautiful, except to say the doctor would also have to have trust in the community not to report them. And also the doctor would have to be so ethical that we would never have to report them. So again, the reason some of these boards exist, the reason we start to implement these rules is so people don't take advantage of people, right? And so there's these, there's this thing. And then Chad says, I doubt she's charging less for said clients though. Well, Cheyenne literally said, I'm charging more, right? So Dr. Cheyenne said she's specifically making more money. So that's the thing. I bet she's charging like $1,000 an hour to celebrity clients like Nick Cannon. So that's what I think is what I have a theory about, is I have a theory that she's appealing to a celebrity audience. Like, I highly doubt she is working for somebody who can only afford $45 an hour, but maybe she is, maybe she is.
the behavior board science rules and regulations and ethics. And so it just opened up a whole nother,
Oh, Chad said that was for the above chatter. My bad.
floor in industry for me.
And she's also saying this like it's a good thing. I want to state something really important. Ethics codes exist to protect you from exploitation and boundary violation and providers practicing outside of their competence. When someone celebrates being free from ethical oversight, I want you to think of that as a red flag, a flashing one. It's a warning sign because those rules exist because real harm happens.
And I do think there's some part of this where we know our communities. I think she's right. Like, I want to say that I agree with Dr. Raquel, and I'm sure Dr. Raquel has taken into consideration that the historical white supremacist medical community has also barred people of color from getting the proper care needed, Black people in particular, from getting the care needed. Licensing boards and agencies have also penalized Black women from braiding at home compared to working with facilities. So, like, we know that systems of oppression play into these dynamics. And in some ways, Dr. Cheyenne could be maybe, in my good faith brain, wants to believe she's like tackling white supremacy because of this, but I doubt it. So then the issue is, if neither group is worried about tackling white supremacist rules about licensing, then the only negative implication is that Dr. Cheyenne is taking advantage of people, which I would hope isn't true.
When they're not in place. So celebrating that you don't have to be accountable to that should be concerning to you.
Yeah.
As a therapist, two things: you can obviously make what you deserve, because therapy is real. We're giving everything we have in there, and we're unpacking shit, and we're helping you process through things. So it's not us sitting there, well, if you're an effective therapist, saying, tell me more. You should be unpacking, and you should be able to take somebody and drive with them to their goal.
And here's another thing. She keeps calling herself a therapist, and in most states, that's actually illegal without a license. You cannot legally use the title therapist or provide psychotherapy without licensure. What she's describing now is coaching, and coaching and therapy are fundamentally different. Coaches help with goals and accountability. Therapists are trained to diagnose and treat mental health conditions, trauma and depression and suicidality. And
Which is why I say therapy is mental health. Coaching is more like philosophy stuff, like, lifestyle stuff. Therapy is think your brain.
psychosis. If someone with untreated bipolar disorder or PTSD thinks they're getting therapy from a coach, they're going to be seriously harmed. These are actual conditions that go undiagnosed and untreated, especially within the Black community.
My clients, the truth is that in order to bill insurance, I have to diagnose you. And you only get about 6 weeks. In order for me to get 6 more weeks.
My insurance explained it to me like, we would cover you if you had a diagnosis. We will cover this many sessions if you have a diagnosis and this many sessions if you don't. And by the way, my insurance covered $20. Okay. I paid $145 for every 45 minutes of a $165 therapy session. So I still paid anyways, but that's what I was explained to by my insurance.
Approval, guess what?
This frames diagnosis as something imposed on you solely for insurance purposes, and that's backwards. A diagnosis isn't a billing trick. It's clinically meaningful information that guides treatment. And the 6 weeks claim is also not accurate across the board. Now, I'm not saying that we should not be addressing insurance because we need to rise up when it comes to insurance authorizations. Like, we very much do. That is a different video. But insurance authorizations vary widely by plan, diagnosis, and medical necessity. Many people receive months of years of covered therapy. And she's also making it sound like licensure forces short-term diagnosis-driven care. And that's just simply not how it works.
Well, it can work that way, at least from my lived experience. But I would want Dr. Cheyenne to go into this. Like, well, how do you use this? How do you do it ethically? How do you make the decision if you're over? Are you crossing boundaries? Are you going to your clients' houses? Are you now getting to know their family? Are you becoming their friends? Like, are you staying professional with them?
Works as someone who is actually a licensed mental health professional.
Majority of people who know that in order to bill insurance as a therapist or a physician or a psychologist, psychiatrist, you have to diagnose. So what do they rather do? Pay out of pocket.
That's what I
And
do.
so when I realized that, I thought,
He said, that's what I do.
well, okay, it may create a gap within our community, our Black community, who can't.
I did pay out of pocket for my regular doctor and all of my healthcare because it was cheaper than getting healthcare in Arizona. It was literally cheaper for me to pay out of pocket to my doctor because hospitals, when they found out I was paying out of pocket with no insurance, would give me a sliding scale versus if I had insurance, it was different. Plus insurance was $800 a month. And I was like, I'm not paying that. You know what I mean? So I understand this as well.
Afford health care or afford mental health services.
I hear the concern and the access problem is real. Her solution, unregulated, unlicensed coaching, isn't the answer. And there are a wealth of licensed Black therapists, he, she, and they, Black-owned practices, sliding scale clinics, community mental health centers doing this work with their licensure intact, keeping their credentials because their clients deserve protection. The solution to healthcare access gaps isn't removing safeguards. It's expanding access to regulated care. It's providing more scholarships for people like us to get the training necessary. It's more support group. It's actually mutual aid, but it's not what she is stating.
I'm in private practice. I make much more money. It allows me to have more leverage and really be hands-on with my clients. I'm not binded by BBS, the behavior board.
Yeah, the phrasing of this could be really, if she was a bad person, and I don't know that she isn't, but if she was a bad person, this could be very dangerous, what she's saying.
Or science, rules and regulations and ethics.
And I want to be honest about what's really happening here because the messaging is awful to me. The pitch to potential clients is, I can give you more personalized care. The pitch to herself is, I make significantly more money and I'm not bound by any kind of oversight. And those are two entirely different things. And when your financial incentive is disconnected from professional accountability, that is a conflict of interest. However, she is not bound by anything when it comes to conflicts of interest because the only thing that she is bound by is the limits of her own ethics and morality. Look, coaching has real value, and y'all know I hold real coaches down. If you want goal accountability, a coach can help, but coaching is not therapy, and no coach worth their salt will say anything other. If you're dealing with mental health, like anxiety and depression and trauma and these other things, you deserve a licensed mental health professional whose conduct is subject to oversight. And I know it sounds like gatekeeping, but it's truly basic safety. And it's important in communities where access has been denied historically. The answer has never been fewer protections for us as Black people. It has always been more access to regulated, accountable care because we deserve that. And I also want to address that it took me some time to think about doing this video because as a Black woman, it's just been really, really tough for us as Black women. And as someone who states that they advocate for the Black community, he, she, and they create programs for the Black community, is the founder of the largest mental health and education community for Black women in the country. I totally understand where we're at when I'm holding my programs and things of that nature. But I do want you to know that I always state that my Black love is also accountability. And being Black does not mean that when I'm dealing with other Black people, I'm pro-Blackness no matter what you do. That's just never going to be the case. So I don't want you to, I don't want to hear anything about like, oh, this is an attack on a Black woman. It's not solely, it was the aspect of supporting Black people was never about supporting just Black people no matter what they do. It's supporting Black people in love and also having accountability. And these messages are wrong, and they have been wrong, and they have consistently been wrong. And and as someone who has the size of a platform that I have, I think it's important for me to share psychoeducation and information because I understand the significance of it. And I understand the significance of it because I'm actually working in this field. This is a really harmful message. And I do understand that there's this aspect of like things are entertainment, but these things are harming us. And I know they harm us because I'm actually working in the field.
Yeah, there must be frustration with the fact that Cheyenne's out of the field. So Dr. Cheyenne isn't in there. She's not working she's doing her own entrepreneurial, capitalistic coaching thing, right? So she's no longer working with the medical field, getting educated, working with peers, working in academia. She's now working in entertainment with celebrities. And it's very like Dr. Phil of it. Like Dr. Phil gave up his license so he could do his show because you guys can't hold a license and do a show like that. Same with financial advisors. You know, Dave Ramsey can't have a license and work on a finance show. There are rules. You guys can't have shows like this. You have to give up your license because certain entertainment shows, they bypass the ethics of what you could do as a therapist. That's why Jordan Peterson got his license threatened because he was, as an active licensed therapist, doing things unethical on his shows. So like that's why there's a board and there's, you know what I mean?
I am a doctor who creates content, but I do want to state that when I say the titles in the beginning of my video, I'm actively doing that work. I'm actively conducting research on Black identity development and mental health and well-being of the Black community. I am actively practicing as a licensed clinical psychologist and see patients weekly and have been seeing patients for over a decade. I am actively a professor and working with youth. I am actively a health educator when it comes to training clinicians in cultural humility so that they can serve us better. And I think one of the reasons why a lot of individuals will say it's not that deep or state that it's just entertainment is because, one, you think mental health in psychology is just folk wisdom, and it's not, it's a science. And two, you guys are very insulated from the field that you claim to be discussing because you don't work in that field and you haven't in quite some time. But as someone who walks into the offices and sees the clients and goes to the talks and does the community programs, we are struggling. And in these little entertainment only pieces that are spreading misinformation, you're doing more harm for the Black community than you know. And the reason why you don't know is because you're so insulated from the Black community. You just sit in front of these mics and you make all these money and you do all these Patreons and you wear these crazy hats and you do all that. But I would actually say I don't see these kind of places as pro-Black. I don't. And the only way you would know that is if you did the work that I do. And you're never going to, because one, you're not qualified. And two, it would break you down. It would break you down every single day. I've never heard so many people saying licenses and degrees didn't matter until more Black people started getting licenses and degrees.
Okay, listen, I'm going to let her take that. Dr. Raquel, I'll share her TikTok down below. I will just say that I do think there's such an important difference between people really studying and caring about a community and people who are entertainers. And it's why I separate my entertainers from my educators. Dr. Raquel, educator. Dr. Cheyenne, at this point, entertainer. And that's okay. And there are questions I have about the capitalism of it all. Okay? So now, let me show you this because I got copyrighted by Joe Budden. We might try to go back and try to see some of it, but also let me do it this way. But to get copyrighted over here. Let me show you this. See if I can find it. This one. Okay, so then she was criticized for the way she dresses as a professional, which I want to talk about. Okay, and here it is.
No?
I posted it.
It's also different because you did post it on social media, no?
I posted it, yep.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with what you were wearing, by the way.
Yep.
But like you said, that you got to be Dr. Cheyenne Bryant on social media, on the pod, on so on and so forth. But then this kind of infiltrated that because you posted it.
Well,
that's the only point I was speaking to.
I got
I'm
you.
completely fine.
I like when you talk because you always come with the white privilege, very different perspective. So I like it. No, see, I wasn't saying that to poke. I like it, Ish, because he comes with a different perspective.
Who says that?
Me. It's the truth. He comes with a different perspective.
Was it with white privilege?
Yeah.
White privilege
Yo,
perspective.
yo,
The privilege
Hey,
part.
don't game on her, yo.
Yeah, she got it.
Hey, yo, cream,
I'm trying to ask
Hey, yo,
you.
cream and cream, cream and cream, nigga. Hey, yo, cream and cream. Don't cream and white. Nigga,
If you want to ask,
Nigga, what the fuck? Yeah, I want to understand why would it be dignified as white privilege?
That's it.
I don't care about that part. I care
I
about
want to
the
answer.
question.
He doesn't care about it.
If you don't care, then fuck that. You
So
can.
the reason why I said that was because white privilege is exactly not knowing that your perspective is standing on a certain level of,
You don't have to be judged in that way.
No,
Privilege.
a certain, not prejudiceness.
I said privilege.
Oh, okay, privilege. Yes, privilege of, you shouldn't have done that. However, you posted it, and I have no problem with that, but I'm just saying, but you posted it, and what you're really saying is that you're similar to like the cheaters. So when I say white privilege is, they put things out there, right, to feed a message, but then they pull back as though that's not the message that they're delivering. That is the privilege of manipulation. So can we get back to his comment? That's how I see it. But it wasn't a pun intended like I don't like him. I was just saying that's what happens when you come from a perspective of privilege. Just like you guys are saying my superpower that I use, right? That is that is direct reflection of how I'm saying he's using, when I say white privilege, is that's his superpower of the white privilege in the way he can say things, knowing he's teeing it up to say, you're speaking like a cheater, or hold on, that outfit was a little inappropriate because you're a professional. But
I don't think it was inappropriate.
No, I got it, but you're the one that posted it. But you're the one that posted it.
Because you said
yes
on social media, I have to be Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. I'm only speaking to that. So that has nothing to do with my white privilege, which I'm aware of.
I got you.
Carry on.
I got you. Yeah. Are you offended?
No, not at all.
If you are, let's unpack it.
I'm not offended.
Okay.
I just think it's irrelevant to the question, but carry on.
I just want to make sure. Okay. If you are offended, just like he did it again. I said, hold on, wait, baby. I said, you want to unpack it? Guess what he said?
Go.
Hold on. Because he said, no, I'm not offended by it, but I do think it's irrelevant to the question. That means you were offended by it.
I'm not. Okay.
Can we move on?
Please.
Okay. So to answer your question, I posted it, but that's not the first time that I posted something that's revealing. I post bikini shots.
Pause. Look at her Instagram. Oh, hold on. You're barely seeing it. Sorry. Hold on. Okay, look at her Instagram. I mean, I would hardly say it's a very revealing. She feels very, very professional Instagram, very like, she's obviously very beautiful, right? She's obviously very colorful, but I would say it's all pretty, you know, this is the picture. Like, this is the one that was controversial, but genuinely like this one's a party dress. Like, she's at a party event, right? So like, it's I think it's fine in the context, right? And the reason I think she's saying white privilege is because when it's a black woman, this is me speaking, tell me if I'm speaking out of turn. When it's a black woman and she's dressing like that, now it's inappropriate. But when it's a certain type of other woman, okay, when it's a certain type of other woman associated with certain people, okay, when it's an award show, having side chicks and having girls and having supermodel wives, oh, well, now that's just classy, okay? When people on the red carpet, when people at award shows have see-through clothes, oh, it's just as professional, it's artistic, it's avant-garde, it's like, ooh, wow. But when she does it, all of a sudden, it's like, ooh, is she a professional? And that's where I think she's talking about white privilege, because it feels a little bit like, why are you even talking about what she's wearing when she's heading to an event where it makes sense she could wear something like that, which I do think is different than Therapy Jeff telling us how he wants his dick played with. You see how Therapy Jeff can get on the internet and talk about how he wants his dick played with, and we're like, excuse me, that's not professional. But her dressing up at a party event as an adult and a grown woman, these are not analogous. These are not the same thing. Okay? So I feel like what Therapy Jeff did, fucking inappropriate. I don't want to hear it. What Cheyenne did, Dr. Cheyenne did, is different. She's going to an adult event and an adult social arena wearing an adult outfit, which I have worn, by the way, a lot in my 20s. I have worn almost the same exact outfit many, many times at events. Exact same outfit. Like, literally, I think I've worn this type of outfit like dozens of times in my life. You know what I mean? I have some right now in my closet. And I'm just saying, like, this can be very appropriate for a lot of situations. Okay? So when I hear white privilege, all I'm translating it through is the lens of when a black woman does it versus when a white woman does it. And also given the position she has as, quote, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, like, I think it's, why is he questioning her? Like, why is he questioning her is the question.
I post things on my story when I'm in my backyard in my pool. I post things when I'm on my yacht. I post a lot of different things.
And I do think like white culture thinks professional looks different than, and that's the whiteness part of it, but white culture is diverse. White culture professionalism looks very diverse. There are white bubbles where dressing up in high heels with your boobs out is professional. They are. Okay? So when he says it the way he says it, it feels like he's trying to say she's not worthy of what he thinks white professionalism looks like.
I just do it in sprinkles. I don't do it all the time because I'm not an influencer, right? I'm a doctor of psychology. But I do it on purpose because, one, that's the reality of who I am. And I want my clients and people who hire me and book me to be hiring me for me. And also, I'm not going to live in dogma. So I don't care who doesn't like my opinion. I don't care who doesn't like the way I dress. What I want to attract are my people, my audience. Because in my audience and in my people and in my space, I could be free. And a woman like me, I thrive in freedom.
Exactly. Like, think about it from a liberation perspective. Like, guys, how cool would it be to have a therapist that was tattooed with pink hair and nose piercings? Like, that would also be cool. You know, as long as they're serious about their job, I would love if they looked, you know, like me, or if they were openly like queer in their presentation, or openly autistic in their presentation, you know, if they were allowed to engage in like embrace, as long as it was professional. As long as it was professional. And I think that's possible. I think you can be professional and show up this way. You know what I mean? I think you can do this.
I don't thrive in incarceration. So I will never be in prison.
Yes, her yacht, because she's fucking a capitalist, bro. That's my biggest criticism is Dr. Cheyenne is she's a capitalist. And so she engages in patriarchal bubbles with these people. And I think they're all capitalists, which is the problem. Like, Joe Budden is a capitalist, right?
Or incarceration to anyone's thoughts. So what I do is I actually show exactly who I am so that I can attract those who are conducive and compatible to me. Because I don't want to have a filter.
I don't think you should have to.
Yeah, like even like with you, right? What I said. And if you were offended, I want to say that I apologize.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't offended.
Because I feel like the passive aggressiveness said that you were. So I'm okay with that. But let me say this though. Let me say this. Hold on, let me say this. Because let's say you and I have
old milk skin.
Let's say you and I have a friendship, right? Let's say we have a friendship and we go to eat and do our thing. I want to be free to say that white privilege shit, and you laugh it off and don't personalize it. I don't want to be, not that you weren't, but I don't want to be in a presence, or I'm not going to create a brand or create a false narrative about myself. And then when I go places, I have to carry my mask everywhere I go. I'm not doing that. That's why when people get me on their pods, or they get me to speak, or I'm speaking at the corporate events, or speaking in church, or I'm on tonight's conversation, one thing they can say for sure, Doc is Doc. You're going to get me. You're not going to get anything that's fake.
It's also different because you did.
So obviously, I do think this is very important. This is what I was trying to make. I was trying to make this point like a year ago about professionalism. I think you can be professional and have blue hair. I think you be professional and dress this way at a night event. I think you can be professional and do all types of things. I think the line of professionalism is hard because it's all different bubbles and expectations. And also, like, the line really is going to look different for all of us. I mean, I had my brother, a realtor did show up. That's why I was thinking about it. A realtor showed up and he was so shocked at the way she was dressed. He was like, what is going on? And I was like, it's just what professional looks like in that bubble. He was like, but it wasn't professional. She wasn't dressed professional. And I was like, that's because you're from California. And in California, yeah, she couldn't dress that way. Like, you know, not the Real Housewives, the realtor shows like Selling Sunset in Orange County. They don't really dress that way. I mean, it's for the TV show. They even say it. They say no realtors are dressing this way. It's just for the TV show. And that's why it's so crazy, because no one actually looks like that. Okay. And that's what I'm trying to say to everybody. Like, just because it's sensationalized for entertainment doesn't mean this is really happening in real life. And that's the part where people have to remember, like, you find it fascinating. And that's why they make TV that looks this way. And that's my only, like, critique of entertainers is like, you're selling a narrative that is true that isn't true. You're only doing this because it's viral. You're only doing it because it sells views, right? And so I get it. Like, I totally get it. But keep that in mind as a viewer, right? Okay, now, another criticism that she was facing, let me go here. Or not criticism, really, but the men arguing with her. Here's this. Okay, here are these two scenes.
Anything. With anything. I would anything. With anything.
Hold on, I just want to make sure.
But let me tell you something. If I'm your wife and you come
Okay, I think this one might be first, maybe.
in this house and you tell me, bitch, I hear you, but let me tell you something. If I'm your wife and you come in this house.
Wait, maybe it is this one. The problem is, like, they're not in order. Hold on. I can't go through the podcast because I got copyrighted. With this one, look at all these clips. Oh, I love this. Okay. So it's like kind of like this. I don't think it really matters. We'll just go through it. Let's start with this one.
You can come outside
Cheating, it's all risk assessment.
I'm running risk assessments.
That's not true. That's not true. Maybe you did that, nigga. I did.
I give you an example.
You bugging.
I know dudes that cheat out of town. They only cheat if they out of town. They're not gonna cheat in their city. They're not gonna cheat in their neighborhood. They're not gonna cheat at their job. They're not gonna cheat with somebody who knows their wife or their girlfriend or whatever because the risk is too high.
Yo, I hate.
That's,
you know what?
That's a risk assessment.
No. See, now y'all gonna make me.
There's no need. Let's just have the talk.
I know, but
Now turn up, me. Fuck that.
All you niggas up here have either ladies, wives, you're happy, you're faithful, you're doing your thing, right?
Correct. That's right.
I'm single, right?
I'll say it when I got a girl.
I'm
nigga.
single. I
You should have just led with I'm single.
Shut up, nigga.
I did think that line was pretty funny. He was like, I will tell you if I have a side chick. And I'm like, no. Like, I was thinking about this in relation to friendship. Like, you know when YouTubers are like, oh, now he's not your friend, he's not your friend? Listen to me. I will never deny a true friendship. If somebody was really my friend, I will make it so fucking clear they were my actual friend and I'm devastated. But if somebody's like a fake fucking friend, I will be like, we were never really friends because we weren't. But I will never deny a real friendship. I will never deny that I was really friends with somebody who ended up being bad if they ended up being bad, right? It kind of feels that way with Joe right here where he's like, look, if I have a side chick, I will tell you. And I'm just like, versus like, and this guy's like, well, you have one. He's like, no, I will tell you. It's just kind of funny.
I've cheated in every single relationship. Okay. Right?
Good brag, bro. Love a brag.
Jesus. Okay.
I've said it.
Yeah.
It took me that one relationship where I cheated and I cheated in the worst way to fuck her up. I witnessed what that looked like to that woman.
Yeah.
Right? To the point today where we clown and we joke, but I'm no longer going to get into a relationship if I'm not going to meet the person that I'm not going to be faithful to. So yes, I'm outside, I do my thing. Any woman that fucks with me today knows that I'm going to fuck with multiple people. And I'm going to be honest about it. When I do find that person I want to be with in a relationship, I'm going to chill. You niggas is clowning and laughing and it's cool. But this goes to show that y'all niggas is in relationships speaking to the most unevolved shit. And it's the one single nigga here who understands every aspect of that shit.
That's crazy. When women are like men, I'm like, ugh, men. It's just like so funny. This is such a man conversation. Okay, here's Dr. Cheyenne.
House and you tell me, baby, listen, yes, I
It says it's not about, hold on, it says,
I hear you, but
it's not about getting caught.
let me tell you something. If I'm your wife and you come in this house and you tell me, baby, listen, yes, I cheated on you, but let me explain to you, sweetheart, let me explain to you, beautiful, that I assessed for risk before I cheated on you. I thought about everything and calculated all of this. And when I did the math, it added up that there's a bigger probability that I won't get caught. You think I'm going to look at you and say,
Nobody
thank you. So what I'm saying is that means that when you take the act of cheating, you are already saying loud and clear, I don't give a fuck about getting caught, and I don't care about losing you.
We could agree to disagree. Because I think the people in this room will disagree with you.
That's fine. I don't care about the people. What I'm saying is, how can you tell me that you stepped out on me, but you cared about getting caught? And that means you cared about my heartbreak. You cared about my dismantle. That is bullshit. You can't do those two can't coexist. Ish, how can I tell you I'm in love with you, I'm committed to you, but I just had sex with your homeboy? How can that coexist?
See, and that's why y'all shouldn't cheat.
Wait. You know what you just did?
You took
it to another level. You took it to another level. You could say to your dude, yo, I was in New York City, and if you get caught, I was in New York City, and I slipped, whatever.
I slipped.
You know what? Yeah.
Can we move on?
Doc, I got a question for you. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No.
I'm just not going to be here long.
No, I was saying, go ahead. Go ahead, yeah.
In relationships, you said you don't cheat.
I don't.
What is your big relationship flaw?
Ish, I hear you.
Okay, literally, the way people talk about stuff, that's why I say, like, okay, when you're ready, no rush. When you're ready, believe people when they tell you who they are. Because I really do think we're taught, because of patriarchy, to believe we can change people. Men are taught they can change women. Women are taught they can change men. You can't change anybody. People change themselves. So believe people when they tell you who they are. And that's what I think is so important about all of these conversations. And look, I'm glad that we get to see them. I'm glad we get to have these convos because I think all of us could learn from it 100%. And I think what we can learn from it too is the fact that people really don't hear themselves when they talk. Like, I think this man in particular really thinks like he's like a good dude, right? So look at this.
I would anything. With anything. We can come outside
and running risk assessments.
That's not true. That's not true. Maybe you didn't do that, nigga. I did.
I'll give you an example.
You bugging.
I know dudes that cheat out of
Oh, wait,
town.
no. We heard
I
this.
hear you, but let me.
Okay, wait.
Again, from a nigga that cheated a lot in their life.
Why do cheaters never feel guilty?
Yo, you could have more than one side chick. It was a point in time you could have 15, 20 side chicks.
Were they ever
And
loaf?
it's two reasons, and it's greed.
Were they ever the loaf for you?
No. They could have been equal honey buns to what I already had at home, but I wouldn't necessarily call my chick a crumb and call him the loaf.
Wait, hold on, pin that, because you said you wouldn't call your chick at home the crumb and then the loaf. But that doesn't mean that woman, in the essence of if your woman at home wasn't your chick, isn't really the loaf. When I say the loaf, it's
She
just...
could have. No, I said it varies per woman.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's not just this general
my issue.
that my girl that I'm seeing
Right.
is the crumb and this girl is the loaf. That my girl could have been a loaf. Shorty could have been a crumb. She just was a crumb with a fat ass. And so all of these things are situational. Like, you know what I'm saying? It just don't fit this one.
I got a question. It's for all y'all, but this is for you since you're talking about this. Why is it that you guys don't have a problem with stepping out and penetrating another woman and dismantling and ruining your entire home with your woman or your wife, but you damn sure got a problem with keeping it 100 that, listen, my wife is the crumb. And this side chick that I'm screwing, she happens to be the loaf.
Hold on. One thing you just said. A lot of times the nigga cheat because he don't want the wife to find out. You saying it and wrecking his whole relationship at home. In that moment, he's thinking, I'm going to get away with this, and she will
Do
never
y'all
find
understand
out.
cheating? It's like committing a crime. A nigga not going out committing a crime under the guise that I'm going to get caught. A nigga is robbing this bank because he think he's going to get the spoil.
So that's why I say when men cheat, they cheat in relationships they want to keep. And when women, quote, cheat, the relationship's already done. A lot of women cheat, like, because the relationship died. You know what I mean? There are men who are literally cheating, thinking they're going to get their cake and eat it too. And I'm saying all cheating is bad cheating. But why you're cheating and how you're engaging with it matters. I also think there are a lot of shitty men out there that will cheat on their wives and then play victim, which I've seen. And I think there are a lot of people that cheat because they're raised that way. Their parents cheated, their grandparents cheated. They don't have any example of a healthy relationship. They think cheating is normal. So you have to decide which bubble are you in. But I would say abuse and toxicity exists in a lot of people's families. So you also have to recognize that as well, right? Rise Again with the super chat says, hi, fellow men, we have moral. Can we have, hi, fellow men, can we have morals, please? Well, and you got to work on those morals. You got to work on those things. You got to say to yourself, why do I believe this? Like, why am I even having this conversation? I mean, these men are grown, they have gray in their beards, they're not in their 20s, And so when we're watching them have this conversation, I think what's eye-opening, and like, look, Dr. Cheyenne's been engaged twice, never married, and people often mock her for this. And I think it's interesting that instead of praising her for making sure she didn't pick the wrong partners, even though I think I would have had a conversation about why we got engaged first, but I think that's normal in society, right? We get engaged and these things follow. But I think there are I think Dr. Cheyenne is also fighting a lot of the problems in her own life, in her own bubble. But I think it's interesting that people shame her for not making a commitment to people she knew wasn't right for her. And I think that's interesting, right? Okay, let's watch more.
That's a question.
If you're asking me, that is.
And we're watching it like this because I kept getting copyrighted on the podcast, but I'm not getting copyrighted for the TikToks.
That's exactly what I'm saying. But not for you to be in a box, and not for you to appease anybody else. I think
But that's not a box?
But listen to me. I think with your newfound success and your newfound level of fame, unfortunately, that's the life we chose. You can go do all of those things to feed self. You just can't do it like the next chick.
I think it's also different because you did post it on social media, no?
I posted it, yep.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with what you were wearing, by the way.
So they're saying like you're getting this backlash because now you're getting the reality of people looking at you. And maybe it's true. Maybe she dresses in a way that doesn't coincide with where she wants to be in terms of professionalism, or maybe she's going to rework what professionalism should look like, right? I would say that it would be unprofessional for her to show up to her therapy well, she can't practice therapy as an unlicensed person, but her coaching event may be dressed like that. Maybe, or maybe not. Maybe as a coach, she can look like that. Because I kind of think if the world was all girls, she could show up like that to work. But then, or if the world was all gay, like she could show up to a meeting like that and it might make sense. Unless she was also being inappropriate. But like, that's the question is like, in what situation? So then the question is, okay, what should the standard be when you know you're working with a diverse clientele? And then the question is like the diverse clientele will dictate what's the right way to show up so everybody wins. Versus if I just have a specific clientele that's specific, then I can dress a particular way. But again, I think it's not even what you're wearing, it's how you sit when you're wearing it. It's how you look when you're wearing it. It's how you use your voice when you're wearing it, right?
Well, I love that. I can't say, but collectively from the men I've been in relationship with, it's been that I will leave. And I've had every single...
So Mark had asked, what's your relationship flaw?
No, man, even both my fiancés say, I don't care if you get mad. I don't care if you go off. I don't care what you do. And I'm going to even go a step further. And y'all could, feel how you feel about it. I've even had, men say, I don't even care if you step out. All I'm asking is that you don't leave me. Because, see, my flaw, using your term, is that the abandoned little girl in me can sabotage the shit out of this. If I even feel...
that you're gonna leave,
not even cheat. Because cheating's a non-negotiable, period. But if I feel that you even have a 1% chance of thinking you can leave because anything, guess what?
I'm gonna get out of here
Baby,
first.
you ain't got to worry about leaving me. I'll make it easy for you. I'll let you go. What makes it easy for me is you got to remember, abandonment people have been detached most of our life.
Also, I just want to say, this is so important to know in your relationship how things play out, but also to know where you are in terms of the healing space. So like, my issues or my partner's issues or whatever we're going through, it no longer impacts the marriage in any real way because we know what it is when it happens. So like if you have a bad knee from doing sports and it acts up, you're not going to assume it's knee cancer. You're going to know what it is. Same thing with childhood trauma. If something comes up, we're like, oh, hey, I know what this is. So now we don't have to guess worst collusion. Like, so, oh my God, you're leaving me. Oh my God, you're abandoning me. Like, I know you're not abandoning me because I know I have an old knee injury. So it's like learning this, right? I also want to say we've already showed the picture of her outfit in question. Again, it was an event, a celebrity club event. It was a nighttime event. It was not while she was professionally working. And I do think it was appropriate given the context. So all those people that are like, oh, like it's not appropriate, it's on your social media. Yeah, but for the context of the event, it was appropriate. And the same way that if she was wearing it to the global, like the Emmys or something, it would have been appropriate. Or the Golden Globes, it would have been appropriate. Because the context is what makes it appropriate. Not her job alone. It's the context of the event as well.
So I'm the oldest of 7. I didn't have nobody in front of me. I experienced abandonment. So if I leave you, you think that my backbone ain't vertical enough to be all right? Because you gotta understand, abandonment means somebody who's supposed to have not dropped you, dropped you. So you think that me getting through being dropped,
and you survived it.
Come on now, is gonna be any comparison to me walking away from you? And let me go one step further, and I'm gonna tag you in. And I say this with all humility, but reality.
And she was at a work event. Like, that's what I'm trying to explain to everybody. She's at a work event, right? So like, this wasn't a she's an entertainer. She's not a licensed professional. Okay. She's not licensed. Now, these are why these conversations are twofold. She's not licensed. This is different. Okay. If she was licensed, we could have conversations about appropriateness. And even then, she was at a public event and then she's being why is she being scrutinized given the context of everything? That's the question.
I'm gorgeous. I have a nice body. I'm educated. Hold on. I'm in demand. Men want me. Women want me. I can walk in any room. I dominate. I'm vertical in who I am. I ain't got daddy issues. I had a father in my life. I'm booking street smart. What I love that.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
I am representing all women, but the group of women who are saying, you know what? I'm beautiful, I'm pretty, I'm cute, and I'm still in the hood, or I'm still in a place that I don't want to be in. Doc was me at some point. There are tools and things that she did. If I turn my ear to hearing her recipe and I apply the same thing, then the result got to be somewhere close. If I shoot for the stars, I got to fall upon the moon. So I'm speaking to a demographic of women who say, no, I want better. And if Doc can do it from being a product of teenage parents, me and my parents are 16 years apart, teenage parents, a product of a dad who sold the drugs that her mama was addicted to. Mom is now sober, thank God, and my father passed away 2 years ago, but turned to a family man. And she was the oldest of 7 with no guidance or nothing, and she was able to take her pretty little self and do something and make herself more than just a
Because
bad.
remember, she's still educated. She's still a doctor of psychology. She still went to university. She still did that. You know, it doesn't matter that she's not licensed now. That's a whole other conversation, which we went over at the beginning of stream. The point is, given her situation, her education, she's allowed to dress pretty if she wants to. Okay? Like, I think we need to build it where she can look pretty in that particular way if she wants to show up looking that particular way. And so that's the issue is like, oh, what? She's not allowed to show up, you know what I mean, at an event that makes sense at night in this outfit because why? You know what I mean? And I think that's the problem is that people are trying to make it sound like, oh, she's not being professional. But with everything taken into context, I think it was fine. Like, I think it's fine. Here's the outfit again. This is it. This is the thing that everyone's freaking out about. It's like, bro, she's at a club. She's at a nighttime event. She's at a party. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine. Again, it's fine. I've seen this type of specific aesthetic in so many award ceremonies, so many art events, so many bubbles show up this way. You know what I mean? So people making it a big deal in this bubble, I think they're just reaching, personally.
That beautiful hood girl, then why is any other woman outside of me different? I believe like the Bible says, listen, few are called, right? But only, it says many are called, but few answer. But few answer, few are chosen, meaning few answer. What the Bible is saying is that many are called. All of us are called. But only the ones who say, hello, God, I'm here.
We'll pick up and answer that call.
Will be the one who are chosen.
Hold on, chat. You're reading her as defensive? I'm reading her pretty fucking in control of the situation, giving it's 5 against 1. Given it's 5 against 1, she's doing really fucking well. She is the guest. They are treating her, their guest like this. They invited this guest to a podcast, asked her to take time out of her life and her work to come on this podcast, and they are calling her, they are questioning her, right? You're reading her as defensive? I'm reading her as, you know, really doing the best she can given the situation. Because I could not even imagine the way my little autistic face would look if I was in this situation. I'd be like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you talking to me like that? Like, I would probably cry a little bit. Like, the pressure she must be feeling and the fact that she is holding her own.
Chosen. So what that says is that we make ourselves chosen. That's all. Hold on. We make ourselves chosen by making sure that we are being tapped into.
Remember, in this bubble, these men think they're smarter than her. Like, I need you to process this information. These men literally think they're smarter than her simply by being men. Especially this one in glasses. He thinks he's smarter than her. Even though she's been to university and she is a doctor and she has all this credibility, he will always think he's smarter than her. The one who said, I cheat, this one, they're literally going for a woman who's never cheated for what she wore, but they would never hold themselves to the same standard in relation to their cheating or infidelity. I bet if I told them I think they're abusive for being cheaters, that they're abusers, they would freak the fuck out. If I told them you serial cheating makes you an abuser, they'd be like, I can't believe you're calling me that. You're the one being a serial cheater. She's the one just going to a party looking cute.
And plugged in to things and people who are in places and rooms that we want to be in.
Because you don't have children, some of your options are way more vast than somebody that may have children. Because as a parent now, some of your decision making is based on the well-being of your children. So you, absolutely, like me, or like all of us, actually we all come from inner city, bad, fucked up environments. And for relatively, most of us are successful in doing their thing. So I can look at somebody and say, yo, dog, if this sounds like some Republican shit, like if I did it, you could do it. And that is true in theory. But what I might have had to face and my adversity that I had to face is different from theirs.
I heard that she was saying as an inspiration. I heard she was saying, let me be an inspiration to you the way that I show up. Maybe I'm misreading her. The way I show up to stream and I say, hey, if I could do it, you could do it. But not literally. Like, obviously, you're not me. But just to give you hope that you can have a good example. Here we are saying, oh, we never saw our mom and dad do it. We never saw any good examples. Well, let some of us be good examples for you. We are the adults in the room. We should be good examples for you, right? But you can't say, oh, now that I have this good example, I can't do it because I'm not you. Well, yeah, maybe so, but at least you know it's possible. And why am I so different than you, right? It's not to say that, yes, Republican shit, pull yourself up by your bootstrap. It's to say she's an inspiration to say, you know, you're not alone. I hear you. We come from the same place. We don't have to, you know, we are allowed to have dreams too.
So it's almost an unfair thing for me to put on somebody sometimes, especially people that are up there in age. You talking about yourself from Compton, right?
No, I'm from LA.
At a young age, right?
LA.
I'm talking about a woman that might be 30 that wants to leave but may not have all of the necessary resources at her disposal to just be out. Like, I'm out of here. Fuck that. I know something better. And a lot of times, because we are from these fucked up environments, our self-worth is damaged. So people don't even shoot for the stars because they don't believe that they can.
Why is he lecturing a therapist? Like, why is he lecturing a medical professional, a psychologist? Is he a psychologist? Wouldn't she know this? Wouldn't she be exactly the person who studied mental health? Maybe because she's not. Well, wouldn't she know this? Like, she knows. She works with clients who are exactly these people, right? Is he almost making, why does it feel, because he's already admitted he's a cheater, that a part of me thinks he is manipulating women to stay in this position so they can't get out? Why do I feel like that? Is it because he already said he cheated? So part of me goes like, she's saying, don't tolerate cheating. And he's saying, well, some women can't get out. And I'm like, see, now I feel like I'm being tricked.
Could get to the stars. They don't even believe that they're worthy of getting to space. Right. You get what I'm saying? Right. And so when we look at these people sometimes and we impose this judgment, not in a bad way,
I got you.
Just
she isn't a licensed psychologist, guys. Lock in. She is a doctor. She went to school. She gets to keep her title. She's not licensed. She's not licensed. These are two different things. That's why people keep saying that. She is not licensed. There's some criticism that we can have for that. But she did go to school. She did get her doctorate. She was at some point licensed. These are two different things. So just keep in mind, just because you're a doctor doesn't mean you have a license. These are two different parts of your education process.
Observation.
Like, you can't take away her education. She still went to school.
To be unfair.
So it's not a judgment. And because
I say observation.
Yeah, I am representing.
Okay, next one.
Say, if another person who does not believe in it at all, they'll be turned off by anything you say.
Right, and I love that you said that because in session I say, you know, are you a believer? Do you believe in God? Is it okay? And it's been very rarely that someone says, you know, no, I don't believe in God. But I have had folks, men and women, who come in and are like, nah, doc, like, I'm cool on the whole God stuff. You know, God ain't popped up. God ain't showed up.
Okay, let's see what she's going to say about this.
You know, so then I just use principles. That's it. Because this is the thing. My belief only is that God is omnipresent, the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning, the end, the in-between for me.
Okay, so she believes in sounds like the Christian God.
So it don't matter if we call him God, if we call him
anything,
Live
right?
Your Promise, the book, if I call him Joe Budden's podcast, if I call him your name. God is just something that, in my experience of God, that is everything that you experience. It's in everything that you do. It's all the things that work for you, the things you think ain't working for you, because everything's working for you. So even if let me say this, if a person has to use the word God to penetrate you, heal you, to get a principle to you, then I don't really think that is God. I think that may be them using God as a way to manipulate. I think that when you know that God is omnipresent and you really stand in your God verticalness, you understand that just me speaking right now is God. I don't have to project my.
Chat says, if men as a system is just a synonym for men who uphold patriarchy, that's beautiful. I wish Brittany would just say that instead of saying men as a system. When I say patriarchy, people don't know what I mean because now you've heard it so many times you think it's a buzzword. That's what patriarchy should have meant in the first place. But the internet and all of you decided to stop listening to what that word meant. So then we started saying men, and then you got offended. So then I started saying men as a system, and then that still pissed everybody off. Even when we use the right language, you won't get it because you won't decide to learn what the language means. Toxic masculinity. Oh, you think masculinity is toxic? No, I think toxic masculinity is toxic. So then we had to stop. You know what I'm saying? So when you have these problems with language, it doesn't matter what words you use, people will twist it. We said rape and people decided to debate what that was. We said consent and people decided to decide what that was. Child marriage is now debatable. Having sex with children is now debatable. Now we're debating what does that even mean? So no, it doesn't matter what words I use. What matters is what the word means right now in the zeitgeist, in our vocabulary, in our vernacular. What it means right now, who knows? But that's why I say what I say, because it doesn't matter. Here we are saying you shouldn't exploit people. And they're like, what is exploitation though? Okay, so like, don't wish me to say anything in a particular way, because the reality is it doesn't matter how I say it. If you don't want to listen, you won't. And that's the hard part with all of this. If people don't want to listen, I don't mean you, Chatter, specifically, but if we don't want to listen, we're not going to hear it. And that's what's so frustrating, that I have to do all of the work to speak in the most perfect way for you to get it, instead of us meeting in the middle. Why should I have to be the one who speaks exactly the way that you specifically need to hear when 99% of the audience knows what I mean? Because it's all about that 1%, because they're the one who won't get it. So now the 99% needs to go backwards to make sure the 1% gets it, to push everybody forward, right? Think about it from that perspective. Look at me jumping into all these bubbles constantly on stream to show you everybody says words differently. That's the point. Billions and billions of people on the planet, and you think we're all going to talk the same and mean the same thing when we say words? Billions and billions and billions of nuances and family histories and different lineages and customs and cultures. Of course, language is going to be different from bubble to bubble, person to person, right? That's the point of my work, okay? And I mean this like compassionately, of course. Passionately, I'm happy to have you here, of course. But I want you to understand, like, when you feel like, when you say like, right? I want you to remember what you're telling me is something about yourself, not about me. You are telling us who you are, not who I am. So when anyone gets up here and says like all men have a side chick, he's not saying anything about us. He's saying something about him. Right? So remember that every time we say something, I'm telling you about me. I'm telling you about me. Right? You're telling me about you.
God onto you. My intention is to help you get to where you want to be. And I tell people in session, I say, listen, I'm just here to love you, have your back, and help you get where you want to be, not where I want you to be. And if you can see how many people just off that first initial sentence that I say go, damn, like, this is cool. Because I just want to love you, help you get to where you want to go.
Say, if another...
I used to do that too when I was when I did calls with people. I'd be like, what do you believe in? And then I would help them based off their belief system, instead of thinking they all had to be like me. So if I had men come to me and they were the most difficult, men were part of the most difficult clientele, especially ones that fell into the passport bro kind of bubble. They didn't really want to get better. They just wanted to complain to a girl. You know what I mean? But like, okay, when we have these conversations, it's kind of one of those things where you have to kind of meet people where they are, right? Chat says, okay, well said. I see why that's annoying to feel like your language is policed. No. My language isn't being policed. Okay. Just like the other chatter who said, oh, she seems really defensive. Again, when you hold an opinion about somebody, you're sharing how you view them. You're not policing my language. You're telling me who you are. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not feeling policed. I'm saying this is a moment for you to say, why did I even say that? Not because I'm policing Brittany's language, but why didn't I understand what she was saying, right? Why did I call this woman defensive instead of realizing she's standing up for herself? Or why didn't I say, oh, I'm really sad she has to sit there in that situation and defend herself, right? When we say things, you're not thinking. You're just kind of having fun on stream. You don't mean it maliciously. You're just like posting when you have a thought. But the thought is being read and consumed and perceived. And now we're even creating an image of this username on our screen. And that's every single guy with a microphone. Every single time I do a stream, I'm recognizing that's why my work is about understanding our place in the universe. Because look at us. Like every time we show up, the way we show up, the way we have me even starting off this stream saying I'm under the weather puts a for anyone who heard it, they will now see me through that lens. If I never said that, they would see it differently. You don't know how many times I have streamed and people are like, oh my God, you were in such a good mood today. And I'm just so glad you read me that way, because internally I was screaming from pain. Every filter, every word, every part of our brain can change the way we're perceiving something with just a small level of information put in. If there was like a flag in the corner of the screen, it would change the way you perceive the video. If the shading of the color of the film was different, it would change your perception of the video, right? Okay. So when we have these conversations, right, what I'm challenging you guys to think about is when you think you're making a decision, ask yourself, like, is this correct? Like, I have so much criticism for Dr. Cheyenne. None of it matters when we're talking about this particular context, right? And the criticism I have is mostly her relationship with capitalism, which makes sense given her background and where she's come from. She thinks having a yacht is a sign that she made it, versus I'm thinking, okay, now get rid of the yacht and dedicate your life to like community. Right? She's saying me charging how much as I want from my clients is an indication of health. What I'm saying, like, oh, can't wait for you to deconstruct like capitalism and dismantle it from your personal philosophy, right? Which will also play into maybe even how she shows up in general, right? We haven't even started to ask her if she's deconstructed her beauty standard, because she's beautiful. Has she even started to deconstruct the beauty standard? What about the fact that she keeps collabing with these men? I can't wait for her to deconstruct misogyny so she doesn't have to talk to these men anymore. You know what I'm saying? There's so much at play here in which I would love to see her go on this journey, which is why I've been following her career, because I'm curious where she'll go. I'm happy that this community, this group of men, specifically the celebrity podcast community particularly, has somebody who can ground them. I also think it's a red flag that they're willing to hear from a woman. And I think they like hearing her correct them because they're also easy. She's also easier to dismiss. I think when they get criticized from a man, it's probably more harsh and more offensive, and they might feel a need to protect, like defend it. But when it's a girl who's especially beautiful, I think they can kind of be like, you know, women. And I think that that's why they like having her around, because she's sort of a mirror that they don't have to take seriously, but she's still a mirror. And so some part of it feels really good, you know?
Person who does not believe in it at all, they'll be turned off.
But I can also let him know when I have an issue, baby, I'm coming to you because you are with an abandoned little girl who is now a woman, and that little girl is going to show up. And I love you enough to make sure you help me suppress her, to regulate her.
Joey.
And you haven't found a man yet that makes you deliver all that.
Feel secure enough to stay.
Yeah.
So it's not that I haven't found someone to make me feel secure enough, because I've been engaged twice, and those men were both men who there was no infidelity.
But
That's
you
not why
ran
I
from
left.
them.
Well, I didn't run. They were men in hindsight that I know was really good for the season of where I was in my trauma, my healing journey. So what happens is a lot of people will marry
Doug,
or have kids.
This don't sound no better than cheating.
No, that was a fly way
Doug
of
is
not
good.
taking accountability of you were the problem.
No.
Oh, you just know I'm about to be pissed. I'm about to be pissed.
No, I don't have a problem with taking accountability. I wasn't a problem, but they definitely were not a problem. Nobody was cheating. There was nothing that was going on.
See, this is the dilemma with divorce and in breaking up engagements. This is why I'm telling you, stop, women. Stop saying I told you so when women get divorces. Stop stigmatizing divorce and ending engagements. And stop pressuring women to get engaged.
On. It was literally me saying that this has ran its course. See, there's two different people. There's people who have enough insight to know when we have grown apart and it's ran its course. And then there's another set of people who just stay too damn long.
Exactly.
Who say, I'm going to marry you, have a baby with you. Now I've made permanent decisions. And now when I pull the cord 20 years later or 15 years later, now we got kids in a broken family and a broken house when I knew that before I married you.
I think there's a different statement,
you are
though.
a fucking assassin
Yo.
and a stone cold
Nigga.
heartbreaker.
That's what it sounds like.
You are a heartbreaker.
It's like a nigga.
And the funny part, I was going to get to this. You make generalizations a lot, right? As we all do.
I try not to.
Okay, so like again, do I think in my bubble I would ever say yes to an engagement I didn't think would last forever? No. But I'm really proud that she didn't get married. I would rather she got engaged and it didn't go through. And I don't even know how old she was at the time. I'd be interested in all the details. But I think what's more interesting is that she's trapped either way. So now she either has to get married to a guy she knows it's over, and then you're going to be mad at her. Well, why'd you marry him then? Why did you break it off before you got married, before you signed paperwork? Oh, but then she breaks it off before the paperwork. Oh, and now she's still cold. Now she's still rude. And I'm saying, you guys act like the world hasn't convinced women to say yes to engagements. You know, my ex proposed to me. My ex was going around telling our friends we're getting married. And I said, no, we are not. And my friends were like, oh, I heard you're getting married. I was like, we are not getting married. And I was like, stop telling people we're getting married. He was obviously trying to marriage trap me. And I was like, we're not getting married, okay? And then it was like this big fight. So you act like that wasn't you. It was very unique of me to say no. You know how many women are like, I can't believe you said no. And I was like, you act like he was giving me a prize. You act like I didn't know that there were problems in the relationship. Now with her, she's saying there were no problems, which I love. Two really great people, it doesn't mean they're high compatibility partners, right? Like that's what I'm trying to get through to people. Just because two people are amazing doesn't mean they're meant to be married, right? Rise Again with the super chat says no gatherings of 4+ men meme, kind of making sense. I don't know that meme, but there you go.
But if you say I do, that's good. But I can also let him know.
Okay, wait.
What I'm saying is I understand my value. I can also let him.
Okay,
what I'm saying is I understand my value. If I leave you, it ain't hard to get something at least at your level or better. And I'm not saying that is an arrogant.
I think the only criticism I've had of Dr. Cheyenne's work, I mean, there's so many, but I think the one criticism I have of her, she still to deconstruct a lot of misogynistic and patriarchal structures. Like one time she said on an interview that I need a man who makes as much as I do because men who don't make as much as I do, they feel threatened by me. That's because those men are still engaging in patriarchy. I had the same problem in my 20s where I wasn't even a rich person, but because I was making more than my male partners at the time, none of my female or non-binary partners cared. Obviously, they were all hustlers, they were all great, but the guys I dated sucked, and they particularly saw it as a threat to them. I had one even say to me like, you'll never respect me till I make more money than you, which obviously isn't true. My married partner doesn't work because I don't care about that. I cared about whether or not you were showing up for this relationship. So I do, and I would love to see Dr. Cheyenne deconstruct away from that and realize like it's not the men making more as much money than you, because those men might lose their jobs and then what? They hate you. You have to date somebody who's so secure that he doesn't care if you make more than him. Because again, if you marry a man who is secure only when he makes more money than you, what happens if he becomes disabled and he can't work anymore?
That people should bring into a relationship. I'm giving the reality of how certain people who stand on their score and know their value think. But what I have done is worked hard on it so that when I'm in a relationship with you, I checkmate that part of me. I have an internal dialogue with that part of me. I have learned to regulate that part of me so that I don't make you feel always on eggshells and unsafe, like you can't be with me and be vulnerable and that I'm gonna leave you. Because I had to work on saying, baby, I have an issue with you right now, but I'm not leaving you. That's just this. I got to process some things because I understand how I move.
It sounds like a lot of the same things that a cheater says.
Unpack that. What do you mean? I thought you would go ahead.
No, I just want to know because
I want you to pack. That's good.
It differs in every relationship. What constitutes cheating to you?
I love that. So I'm biblical, right? And so my thing is the Bible says only 2 reasons that are permissible for divorce, and I'm just going off commitment. It says unfaithfulness and infidelity. Infidelity is obviously sexual. Unfaithfulness means
or money. Financial infidelity is real.
What did I commit to you? Am I unfaithful to my commitment to you? So it's an agreement between you and I only, not him, not your homeboy when you go to lunch and say, my wife does this. I don't give a fuck what he said. What did I tell you I would do? What did I tell you? Now, am I keeping that commitment, baby? If I am, then we good. He needs to shut up or she needs to shut up. That's how relationships end up having issues because I'm sitting with my girls explaining to them what we're going through, but she got a different commitment with her husband than I got with you. And what if what we got going is working?
Can I ask a question?
What I'm saying is,
I will say that's why you have to have a custom relationship between the two of you. Don't let your friends in your marriage, don't let your relatives in your marriage, don't let your mother in your marriage, right? And yet, if you are being abused, if it's toxic, if you're worried, if you're crying every night, reach out for help. That is different than people in your business about your healthy marriage. If you're healthy in your commitment, if you're healthy in your long-term relationship, nobody's business about what's happening because they're bringing their fucking bullshit into your relationship. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you've got things, but this has nothing to do with mine, right? If you though are unsure about your own relationship, talk to somebody trusted, a therapist, somebody neutral, somebody in your life you know isn't going to judge your relationship off their, like I would not allow like a religious conservative to cast judgment on my relationship because it doesn't look biblical as an example, right? But I could see them giving me good advice, even though they are religious. But their religious standard can't be about my secular standard, right? That's how I heard that message, which I think is a good message.
Oh yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
You said you're a lawyer in the club.
You
one
said
night.
you're a
You was like,
lawyer.
Yes,
Exactly.
got it. Go ahead.
I gave an example of many years ago being in a nightclub and seeing my entertainment lawyer in there 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, cool, I'm getting rid of him.
I'm gonna scroll this up.
It's not cap.
They fall in love with their side chick.
What do y'all think about that?
But to fully agree,
Men cheat for ego, not just pleasure. True.
I would have to that totally disregards the work that some of us put into finding the right side chick.
It takes work to find a side chick.
Finding the side chick is
The right
already.
sound.
Y'all explain. I'm not familiar with
Well,
this word.
let me ask a question then.
So, well, you've been very clear in saying you ain't locked into nothing until you have that.
I'm not your wife.
But you can make commitments to people, right?
That's different. Yes. This is why I said it's more of a psychological fulfillment than it even is physical, because most men who aren't even married get turned on by saying they have a side chick because it gives them some type of validation.
Ego.
It's an ego stroke. And let me say this real quick, because
No, I'm waiting for somebody to say. I want some. I'm hearing pushback in the air, but nobody's saying it.
No. Listen, I don't I don't like to often talk in generals. It's all based off of ego, and it's all based off of what we want the next man to think of us, or what we want to think about ourselves. Like when you said the whole thing about cheating and the thrill. I know for me, cheating always was the thrill. If I got caught, or knowing that I wouldn't get caught, that would be the motivation to continue to do it. So I agree with you. I just think a lot of men, it takes them a lot to understand that how we're moving is based off of our ego. And the older you get, you'll get more comfortable in just convincing yourself that the shit you're doing is because you need to find a side chick to please your other
Was it
needs.
ever just for pleasure, or because you just got tired of fucking the same person?
This is why I don't want to speak in. I don't like speaking in general.
Some niggas just greedy.
It ain't
That's
based
it.
on nothing else but greed. Yo, fam, you could have a woman at home that is beautiful, pussy is amazing, sense of humor, she's in.
Pussy is amazing. Sheesh. Isn't nobody ever just like falling in love anymore? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. I am such a romantic. Like, please don't talk about my pussy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, talk about my character. Talk about what I bring to the, talk about the love. Talk about the, you know what I mean? My pussy.
Encouraging. She's all of these things. And you could go fuck some chick, not because you're lacking anything or because you want some outside fulfillment. You could go fuck some chick that ain't got a snowball's chance in Haiti of getting in your life because you greedy. Nothing more, nothing less. It ain't no psychology behind.
Ain't no psychology behind it. Girly, it's all psychology. Girly, it's all a why. That's what I'm saying. Like, people are like, he's so close but so far. Like, there is a psychology behind it. You know what I mean?
They fall in love.
I love that. There's no psychology behind it. You're greedy. That is the psychology behind it.
Yeah.
I'm
sorry.
So I deem myself to have.
I think it's like, greediness, entitlement. That's how I hear greediness. It's an entitlement. You know what I mean? Like a gluttony, a type of gluttony. You know what I mean? Oh, so funny to me. Like, I do think that's why I say, like, one time I had a man in my life who was a cheater. He asked me, like, do you think your ex cheated on you because you did something? And I realized he asked me that question. I took it so organically, like so authentically, autistically, organically, that I thought he was asking me like some deep philosophical question, but he was really just finding a way to feel good about the fact that he cheated. And I realized, like, he hated, like, and I get it. Like, I get that cheaters don't identify as cheaters. And I would never have identified somebody who cheated as always a cheater. I don't think once a cheater, always a cheater. I don't believe that. And I also would say I don't believe once an abuser, always abuser either. I do think, though, if you do not acknowledge that you are an abuser, you can never get better. And I think if you never acknowledged you were a cheater, you will never get better. And he never acknowledged he was a cheater. Even my ex who cheated on me, he never could identify himself as a cheater because he said, well, I cheated because I was lonely and I was feeling neglected and you weren't here. And I'm like, I wasn't here because you uprooted our whole life and we were in such a toxic cycle. Like, I was always there until I couldn't be. And we were just long distance. Like, we would see each other once a month. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, so because I couldn't see you for the last 30 days, you got lonely and cheated? Well, I was busy out here working 2 jobs and trying to figure shit out and trying to figure it out if we could make this work. Do you know what I'm saying? So, and again, we were in our 20s at the time. Imagine people are doing this in their 40s and 50s. Like, I think in some ways it is actually a little bit better for me to feel like we were just kids and it wasn't that deep at the same time because we were like in our late 20s or mid 20s. You know what I mean? But now imagine you're 45 and you're in this cycle with somebody. Imagine you're 15 in this cycle with somebody. Like, imagine you're, 60. You know what I mean? Just like, oh my God. Could you imagine like being in this cycle in your, when it happens, some people are doing that. And that's why I'm saying free you from this cycle as fast as you can, girlies. Because this will they, won't they, on again, off again. Can I fix him? Can I fix her? You are dating the person for who they are in the most present. And if they're not your person now, they're not going to be your person later. And the statistical probability of that happening is so low, you can't bank on it. And you're almost never the exception, even if somebody is the exception.
Been a normal little girl growing up in the inner city. So why did you smack? I wasn't
clunk you with this.
I wasn't normal.
You've looked how you look your whole entire life.
Okay, so
there's a pretty privilege that comes along with every attractive person that we got. We're not normal.
The whole look thing. But what I'm saying is, when I say normal, I mean like I went from the hood to the hills. So
pretty
when I say that,
women though,
but
from
hold on, are you from
my
the
age?
hood-ish?
The bottom, yeah.
So I'm confused because the most prettiest, baddest woman I've ever seen been them chicks who are in the hood, in the inner city. I don't know what you.
That's what I'm saying.
Them women are
I'm saying no. I said that.
And it don't matter if they Latina, Dominican, Black. Them women are Puerto Rican. They gorgeous in the hood.
In that they had a privilege.
Yes,
the bad chicks in my hood.
But some of those women who have that pretty girl privilege ain't made it out the pretty girl hood.
That's true.
What I'm saying is, I deem myself as have been the normal pretty hood girl who just was tenacious and determined enough to figure things out. So when I am speaking, I am representing all women, but the group of women who are saying, you know what? I'm beautiful, I'm pretty, I'm cute, and I'm still in the hood, or I'm still in a place that I don't want to be in. Doc was me at some point. There are tools and things that she did. If I turn my ear to hearing her recipe and I apply the same thing, then the result got to be somewhere close.
Yeah, he's doing this thing where he like knows the words but uses it negatively. It's like he went to therapy to learn the words to weaponize them. He's like, oh, these women who, he's almost like saying these women, insert bad situation here he's created in his head, are actually doing better than other women because they're pretty. And it's like, I don't think that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's doing this thing. Yes, pretty privilege is real and there is pretty privilege. And also, do you think because these women are pretty, you know what I'm saying? Like, I saw this video of this really unhoused couple, and the woman in particular, she was obviously on drugs, and she was dancing for the camera, and she was beautiful. And the chat said, I wonder if she knows how beautiful she is. And someone in the chat was like, bros, she's probably literally been trafficked or raped. And like, how pretty she is doesn't matter if she's unhoused, on drugs, and being taken advantage of by men in the streets. And I was like, you guys are so fucking focused on pretty women, except you don't pay attention to how pretty women are taken, you know what I mean? Or abused or pedestaled or objectified. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it happens to all women, by the way, no matter what you look like. We know this. Men are disgusting. Men will fuck corpses. Men will fuck animals. They're disgusting. You know what I mean? So we know it's not even always about being pretty, but this audacity of men to be like, oh, but these women are pretty in a bad situation, or insert what he is proclaiming is like sort of this, because that's the context of the conversation. It's just like, you know what I mean, girl?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So I deem myself to have been a normal little. I no longer practice.
Got you.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Right.
And if as we continue to grow, I would just explain whatever you need me to.
That was my answer right there. Because a lot of times when you meet women, oftentimes they'll be like, "Yo, until you're my man, then I'll do X, right? But I'm not doing X until you're my man." You don't get to be that nigga's man if you're not doing X in that middle period. Because the dope niggas, and we know dope niggas, they not tolerating all of that shit of you not doing it until you my girl. You not going to get to be my girl because you don't even...
With peace and love, does this not sound like high school a little bit? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it almost sounds like, I really think adulthood is high school with money. I've been saying this for years. I still think it's true. It's high school with money. And I'm saying, get out of this high school mentality and start thinking about the goodness of your community, the wholesomeness of your community, loving your community, uplifting your community, helping people. Stop defining yourself by relationships. You know what I mean? But this is it everywhere. Look at Trump and Elon and all those fucking conservative boys in the White House. High school with money. Joe Rogan, high school with money. Like all these boys, all of these grown-ups, and it's everywhere, but especially in celebrity culture. Especially in celebrity culture.
Exemplify what it's going to take to even be my girl.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And so I hear
agree.
women say it a lot of times like, yo, I'm not trusting no man or submitting to no man if he not my man or my husband. You don't get to, I don't even know you could do that until, you know what I'm saying? You got to show that you are capable of doing that prior to becoming my girlfriend or my wife.
So
and a lot of times they don't do that.
There's levels to submission. So I'm submissive the first moment that I notice I like you.
Yeah, got you.
And you like me. So I'm already submissive. That means that at that point there may be a certain shoulder type of touch. There may be, hey.
Listen, not my bubble. And if she's a Bible girly, submit is all about the bubble. I'm not about it. I am not a religious person. I do not believe in patriarchal religions. I do not submit to anyone, not Jesus Christ, not my father, not my brothers, not nobody. Okay, but okay.
Hey, are you thirsty? I'm going to the bathroom. Did you need me to grab something on my way back? Did you need a straw? If we're at dinner and I notice you ask for another drink, I'm going to make sure, hey, excuse me, he needs. You know, I'm going to make sure you.
See, I don't call that submissive behavior. I just call it like reading the fucking room and being nice to people. I would do that for my sister, my brother, a stranger. I would do that for anybody. Like if I see a need, I feel a need. Right? Like, yeah, Chet says so submission is being thoughtful. The problem is that it lands on the woman or the bottom or the submissive. And that's the dilemma. So then men feel they never have to be caring. They never have to pay attention to women's needs. So women take on all that emotional labor where women start to notice what needs to be picked up in the house, what needs to be done, who needs to be fed. And then that's why we get autoimmune disorders and we're suffering from so many illnesses because we're taking the subconscious burden away from these men and these men no longer have to think about it. And then these men are fucking useless. They can't even wipe their own asses. And then that's the problem. That's the problem with these patriarchal bubbles. Is it like it creates so much fucking stress for no fucking reason.
Good.
You into
Because of gender.
You into that ish?
You answer what?
He don't
What
drink.
you saying? You like that style?
He doesn't use straws.
Yeah, take a sip.
Nigga drinking water. Yeah, you thirsty, boy? I'll be thirsty too, boy. Sahara Desert. She got this nigga burning.
But I'm saying, I hate the idea. Are they implying that Glasses likes her? Because I do hate the idea that these men find her attractive and so they hate her for it. Or that these men actually do, like they're mad that she won't pick them. Like I do actually get a little bit of that from especially Glasses.
Let me tell you who I am. There you go. Y'all gonna stop playing with me for comedy. Got you. Okay.
Absolutely.
That was.
It seemed like you just about to move on your own time, and that's that. You're not stopping the flow for somebody. And if you was a runner before, then, yeah, what does that guy look like now that makes you comfortable and trust him and divulge in him and for him to lead and forget you out of your, like I seen you tough out. You doing this tough shit.
Yeah.
You tough. I get it.
But what, maybe
in there, though.
Maybe she wants
in there. Yeah, you know.
Oh, Chat's right. Chat says, yeah. Chat says, didn't they? I think somebody in chat did say that too. Definitely. That's definitely a part. Okay, pause. That's why I keep saying Hassan has got to stop with the thirst traps because it means that when women come on his podcast, they can't talk to him without the underlining will they fuck narrative. That's the problem in heterosexual bubbles is like you're not allowing us to be professional because the underlying layer is will they fuck. And I get it. I used to think it was okay. I used to think it was fine. I used to think it's not going to be a big deal. But then when it's weaponized against you, you realize like, oh, wait a second. And it's a part of patriarchy. And it's the idea that these women will never be smart enough on their own and they only get places because men let them fuck or that they will fuck men or they let the men fuck. So like, again, we got to get away from sex in this particular, like there is a way to be professional and to have sexual relationships that are consensual with coworkers and everything else. But it can't come at the expense of the reputation of the people involved, right? We have to change the narrative around this. So yeah, I think that's obviously something is happening here.
She probably don't want a man, but maybe if a man comes that's on the same wavelength as her, and
I'm saying I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
I think there's somebody else.
Oh no, I'm not saying that she'll never find somebody. Look at the woman; she's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm saying,
Thank you.
Mr. Perfect could come in right in this season and be Mr. Perfect and present that way.
Bad timing.
Yeah, not right now, dog.
So a lot of what he said is right. The latter part is the most rightness of what you said, in the sense of what kind of man will come in and be able to, keep the peace, facilitate me, not my intellect, but facilitate, like you said, my.
See, and it's like, what kind of man? What kind of a man? What kind of a man? Instead of like, what kind of a person? What kind of a consciousness? You know what I mean?
My emotions, my heart space, where I'm safe, and be able to sustain that is what I kind of heard you say.
Yeah.
That part, 100% correct, right? That would be when I say that's the husband. The part I don't agree with, or that's not correct, I should say, is that I'm not willing to explain myself to that man. Now, am I going to explain myself to a man? No.
Right.
I got shit to do.
Obviously.
Will I explain myself to that man that I chose, who I'm saying, hold on. All right, Boaz, I'm Ruth. I've been gleaning.
Okay, Boaz. Okay, biblical reference. I love a Ruth and Boaz story, girl. That's, oh my God, transported into my childhood. Oh my God, there's this movie called Ruth growing up. I absolutely ate that shit up. Okay, girl.
I want you to continue to find me, seek me, the Bible. He who finds, not me finding you. So yeah, you found me.
It seemed like you just about to move.
Okay, first of all, that story goes crazy. If you know, you know, you know. Listen, I even showed it one time on the Discord, and I was like, listen, you have to get it. You gotta get it. You gotta lock in. Anyways, okay, listen. I will say that though there's a lot of romanticization with a lot of these patriarchal biblical stories, at the end of the day, it's hard for these women in these bubbles to really deconstruct patriarchy if their God is patriarchal, right? Like, and if you're going to find a patriarchal husband, find one that looks at you like an equal and as a person first and foremost, right? I think my brother and my sister-in-law, right? Like, they're vibing, bro. They're very conservative, very Catholic, but they vibe. Even if they have like differences on their backgrounds and stuff like that, they really love each other and respect each other, and they're best friends. And it's really them first and foremost. And I think like that is a healthy Catholic marriage. But I think that the way they talk about each other is very far from the submissive, like, my sister-in-law is not going to submit to my brother. I won't let her. You know what I mean? Like, I would never. Like, she doesn't. Even if they say it. My mom used to say that. It used to piss me off. My mom would be like, the Bible says to submit to your husband. I was like, oh, Mom, you haven't submitted to anybody in your life. You barely will submit a resume to a job application. My mother does not submit. Like, these Assyrian women in all of my family legacy talking about submitting to their husbands while they all work jobs. Don't fucking make me laugh. You guys work, you drive, you're independent. You literally have hobbies and friend groups. All these women talking about submission. You are not submitting shit. And like, that's the thing. Girl, if we're talking about the bedroom, let's talk, okay? But in our actual real lives, none of these women were submitting. It's so annoying to me. You guys are playing this fucking game, okay? And it's a bad precedent, okay? I remember I wasn't there, but my brother's wedding to his wife, my sister was there. And the priest said, wives must submit to their husbands. And my sister went like this. And she was like, what the fuck is this? And then I literally told my brother, I was like, submit to who? Who husbands? Like, that's what I'm saying. Look at this attitude. You think this attitude is so many of the women in my family. Okay? You know how many times we've been in a potluck or like a get together and something is happening and the men say something and the women go, ah! Like, you know how loud we are as a family? What submission? Submission who? Like, don't piss me off, bro. Don't piss me off. Dude, don't get me wrong. I love a little bedroom submission. Pull me by my hair, call me a good girl. I'm all about it. None of that has to do with gender at the end of the day, because some of us got mommies, and none of it has to do with our actual day-to-day life. Because be so fucking for real.
Move on your own time, and that's that. You're not stopping the flow for somebody. And if you was a runner before, then...
Is she a runner, or is she just not met a high compatibility partner? I don't know. I'd like to believe she just hasn't met a high compatibility partner, because I was avoidant and I was very much like, I think people would have described me when I was younger as like a runner. And it's true that I had attachment issues, but even more true that these people were not worth it. Even if I was healthy, these still would have been my people. Because they were also fucked up. And that's the difference. And also, we wouldn't have been each other's people even if we were both healthy. That's what people are missing. People keep thinking if we were both healthy, we would have been together. No, we did not share values. So you can call her a runner. I would just say she hasn't met the person, the real person. There's millions of options, but it's very hard to meet them. It is. It's hard to meet them. And I think that's a part of the problem. This is why I always say high compatibility partnership is for the person that you are in this moment, and you're making a commitment to the person that you could be into the future. But you really got to know yourself to make that commitment. I really know how to commit to who I will be forever, in the sense that I can tell my partner, this personality is going to stay the same. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and I'm not going to be like, actually, I want to be a submissive and you're my husband. And actually, I need you to play a dominant role. Like, I'm not going to be that girly, okay? I'm also not going to turn around tomorrow and be shy. You know what I mean? I'm not going to turn around tomorrow and not want to be a career person. Like, if things change, we will put things in order to make them change for our life. But I'm not about to literally have a personality change overnight. So if it's coming, you will see, because we will communicate it. What I am committing to is doing life together. What I'm committing to is making that choice together. What I'm committing to is us building in a direction. That's what I'm committing to. I'm not committing to us moving in two directions. So if we decide as adults to move in two directions, we will get divorced, which is what is responsible and necessary. And that will not be a failed marriage. That will be a marriage that worked until we made different decisions, because we are not trapped. Okay? We are not trapped in this marriage. And yet I say this knowing in my heart of hearts that I really believe we're going to be together forever. I say that knowing I really believe we're going to be together forever. Don't get it twisted. I really deeply think I am going to look at this person and be with this person until they die. I really believe that. And I never want this person to feel trapped, right? Discord just shared My Big Fat Greek Wedding scene where she goes, a man might be the head of the house, but the woman is the neck. And she can turn the head the way she wants. My mom used to say this to me growing up. When this movie came out, all of the Assyrians were passing the movie around like, look, they made a movie about us. It's about Greeks. But okay, they're like, look, they made a movie about us. And then we all watched My Big Fat Greek Wedding and we all had a big laugh because it was like, okay. But then I looked at my mother and I said, why do you all play to this biblical bullshit about gender roles, but the women are sitting here pulling all the strings? And then that's why men get into their head that women are manipulative. The truth is, both of you suck, because none of you will have the conversation, because the men's ego gets shattered and then they get defensive and the women feel like they have to go sneaky. And I'm saying both of you stop. You're so annoying to me. Do not make me work this hard. Okay? Do not make me work this hard.
Yeah, what does that guy look like now that makes you comfortable and trust him and divulge in him and for him to lead and for get you out of your, like I seen you tough out. You do all this tough shit.
Yeah.
You tough. I get it.
But maybe she
in there. Though.
Maybe she wants
in there. Yeah, you know what's in there.
She probably don't want a man, but maybe if a man comes that's on the same wavelength as her, and
I'm saying I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
I think there's somebody else.
Oh no, I'm not saying that she'll
okay.
Look at the woman. She's beautiful. Yeah. I'm saying.
Okay, we saw that already.
Because
side chick can effectively end the happiness of.
Oh no, the side chick holds the most power in your relationship.
Because he said that the side chick holds the power in the relationship. From a man's perspective, what I believe you're saying, I said this on Shannon Sharp's interview as well, that what I have found in my field of 18 years is that when a womanizer, because that's what he is, who has a side chick, when a womanizer has a side piece, side chick, whatever you want to call it, oftentimes, if not almost all the time, the wife can tell when they break up.
It should be known.
Why?
Well, back in the day.
Because he comes home in a disposition that is uneasy. Mm-hmm. He's not as loving and nurturing.
Like, I don't know why people think like we don't know what's going on with our partners or like something has changed. That's what I'm saying. My partner and I can pick up on the most subtle changes. If my partner found a way to cheat on me now, I would be borderline impressed. To be honest. Like, I would almost be like, honestly, that's crazy because I didn't even know. And honestly, props. Also, divorce. Because how the fuck? We are so good at noticing, like, even the slightest. Versus in my 20s, the truth is, girls, I was purposely obtuse. In my 20s, I just wanted to believe everything was fine, and I refused to really actually live in the most present of my relationship. I could have guessed that boy would have cheated on me day one. But I was in denial. Not this 30s Brittany. This Brittany, 37, almost 37-year-old Brittany, I will know the moment you are acting funny. And also, look, I think the problem here is like, I don't know. Let me say it like this. If my brother cheated on my sister-in-law, we would take her side. I would take her side. Right? If my brother cheated, he would expect me to take her side. He would expect me to be so angry with him that all the resources will go to her. Because how could you do this to this woman who built a life with you, who shared every moment of her life with you, that you said you loved and committed to, that you guys built a family with, right? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, how could you do this to her? And the credit to his character, in this hypothetical, he cheats on her, so it's abuse, is that he wouldn't fight or pretend he was the victim. I think the thing that the lemon in the wound is that these men will cheat and abuse their wives and then play victim. It's even more destructive, like so disgusting. And that's why when men cheat and play victim, it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me, you know? Chat says, impressed he deceived you for a while, so 4 years. It was sarcasm, bro. I'm like making a point. I'm like being hyperbolic. You know what I mean? Like it's a joke. I would not be impressed. I would be annoyed and heartbroken. And also now you're going to make me file paperwork. I hate you, bro. What a waste of my life filing paperwork. No, it's not funny. It's not a joke. Cheating on people is abuse. It's not funny.
And joyful when he walks in that door. Now that's unfortunate, but that is facts. When him and the side chick just got off their trip or conversation, or she's able to keep him company, entertain him all day long, he comes home in a better mood. And let me go further. I've had some clients, and many, too many actually, who have actually, wives who have said, I'm actually okay with him having her. Even if he knows that I'm not okay with it, I let it ride. Because she makes this household easier.
Peaceful.
Mm-hmm. Because, hold on, that wife also is tuned out, tapped out, and turned off from him as well.
Yep.
See, men think they're moving in a way. You think
Yep.
sometimes the wife is just so in love and wants you. Sometimes she's there because you paying bills and you provide.
That's what I'm saying. You're not winning, stupid. She left you in her head, stupid. The reason she's okay with you fucking around is because she thinks you're a fucking loser. That's why she doesn't care. Because she realized her husband is a fucking loser, bro. Like, that's what I'm getting. Like, that's what I'm saying. You guys are so fucking stupid to think that women are sitting here and you're this man. You're like, oh yeah, my woman doesn't tell me what to do. I got a side chick and I got a woman. We think you're stupid. These women, I want them to be independent so they don't have to be embarrassed enough to be with a stupid man. But they do not respect you. They think you're stupid.
And she knows that leaving you means she has to fend for herself. Or she can't fend at all. So sometimes she's okay with you having that side chick when you think you sneaking. Because really, some of y'all cheating, not because you even want to fuck the side bitch. It's really because you like to sneak.
Mm-hmm. Entitlement, bro.
You only have the side chick because being deviant and cheating is what turns you on.
Yeah.
Actually, to be honest with you, I think that was my ex's problem. I'm pretty sure whatever condition my ex had, it was like he first of all, severe PDA. He hated when people told him what to do, even if they were helping him. And then he would just do it because he wanted to. Like, don't tell me what to do. And it was so bad that it forced him into every bad decision he ever made. So I don't know what the fuck that is, what clinical issue that is, but it was real. He could not eat the cupcake to save his fucking life. And I'm saying the audacity of this man to also play victim at the end was crazy because he would. And that's it. That's what I'm saying. You cannot save this person. It's over. Like, it's over. Everything you're doing, like, I'm over it. Like, you won't save yourself. I'm not going to save you. But it is, whatever it is, it's definitely clinical. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't matter because the clinical doesn't explain the inability to take the help. I mean, the choices he made. I mean, I couldn't even explain it to you because it's like, it's so egregiously insane that you're just like, bro, and he would explain it to you. You could not force him to do something. He wasn't insane. I need this to be clear. He wasn't insane. He wasn't unable. He just thought he knew better than everyone else. He really thought he knew better no matter who it was. And because of that, well.
So half of y'all ain't even tripping off of, I'm unhappy and my wife. No, bruh, you wouldn't have a side chick if you didn't have a wife. You don't want her. And half of y'all don't want your wife because you married the crumb and really go screw the loaf. Half of y'all settle for what's safe and you want the bad chick. But you don't want the bad chick because you're the bad chick gonna do you wrong and bad like you doing her. And you can't handle it because you're too damn weak. So that's why men fall in love with their loaf.
Side chick.
Because I think that it doesn't matter our race, our gender, it doesn't matter our background. One thing that we all can relate on is adversity and some fucking trauma. You can sit a white person from the trailer park here and a black person from the hood. And they may not be able to relate as far as the exact same environment. But when you start talking about pain pockets and trauma, we're going to be relatable. If he's an abandoned little boy and he's a white male, and I'm an abandoned little girl, I don't know how to be a white man. He'll never know how to be a black woman. But we could talk about the abandonment issues. We could talk about the pain pockets. We could talk about the effects of it as adults and how it sabotages our relationships. And now we have a commonality. Now we have a connection. And so when you start to take out what I think is more of the surface things, like I'm woman, you're male, I'm black, you're white, that obviously cause a lot of societal constructs and disparities within our community. So they are important. But when we get to the nitty gritty of who we are eternally, we are a lot more alike than we like to believe.
True.
And so there's not a lot.
And by the way, can I just say to what they said earlier about the side chick making peace in the home? I hate that for the side chick too. I hate it for everybody. Like whoever the woman was who cheated or helped Clay cheat on Meg Thee Stallion, like ladies, he's never going to pick you or love you. Married men who leave their wives for you will eventually leave you for somebody else. And even if they don't, could, with your full chest, tell that story to people. Oh, how'd you guys meet? Oh, what was your love story? This is how crazy life is. Like, I don't want a love story of like, he was married, but then I thought his wife was just like not doing it right. So then I swooped in. This is not the romantic story we need. We do not need a romantic story of you chasing over after a married man, right? The problem is the women who go for married men, in my opinion, are suffering from a deep insecurity, just like men who cheat. You are deeply insecure about yourself. And instead of facing that insecurity, you make your life a mess. That's the problem. Insecure people are also entitled. If their ego is strong enough with no humility, insecurity leads to entitlement.
A separation when you're talking about trauma and abandonment and mental health and pain pockets. We all got them. We all have experienced adversity. I don't care how much money you have, you've experienced adversity. I don't care how broke you are, you've experienced similar adversity where you've been dark, you've been light, you've had days where you were trying to give up. You had days where you were doubtful. You had days where it's just you and God in the room. You got rich people in a beautiful house, 4 beautiful walls, homeless as fuck. But that's all of us. Whether you really been homeless or you in a big house and homeless internally, it doesn't matter. It affects us the same. And so, well, for me,
I don't know that it affects us the same, but philosophically speaking, I do think if you don't have a good relationship with self, it doesn't matter how rich you get, right?
It's relationships, but relationships are also the catalyst to what causes or heals trauma. Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt. And because he decided to be disobedient when God told him to speak to the rock the second time and not hit it, he hit the rock. So that means they did not get into the promised land. But guess who else didn't get into the promised land? Everybody he led.
His followers.
Everybody he led. His followers. So what I'm saying is, especially within our community, we have to be a lot more apprehensive about who the fuck we following. Because I think that
everyone needs to question if they're following celebrities. That's the problem. Is like celebrities are so if we're being biblical, celebrities are the rich man, right? Celebrities are the rich man, and it is harder for a rich man, right? So like that's the problem. Is like that's why I question her connection to capitalists. I question Christians' connection to capitalists. Dave Ramsey bragging about having $100 million worth of properties and saying they're not mine, they're God's. Habibi, are you not the rich man God warned us about? Like if we are being biblical.
Absolutely.
Like me or like all of us. Actually, we all come from inner city, bad, fucked up environments. And for relatively, most of us are successful in doing
You watched this already?
It is my duty. And I'm going to say
here, depression is just a lack of hope. Let's see.
Y'all duty, all of our duty, okay, to go back. Because ain't nobody going to privilege us if we don't. And go back and say, listen, I was you. The fact that I got a platform, I got 4 million plus people. I'm on a nationwide tour. My brand is global. Listen, I don't want none of this shit if I don't use my platform to tell another woman who's in the hood, I don't care if she's 45 in the hood, 70 in the hood, or she's 5 years old, how to do it and what it looks like. And if I can be the poster child for it, then that's just what it's going to be.
I agree.
Everything I say is to impose value. It's to install hope. The Bible says hope deferred makes the heart sick. You got sick people in the hood just because they don't have hope. Hope is free. But let me tell you what it'll do. But hope will change. Hope will take your entire life if you don't have it. People have mental illness because they lack hope. Depression is just a lack of hope. That's all depression. Depression means it went dark. So I turn the lights off because I have no hope. I don't want to see nothing in here because everything in here doesn't reflect anything that makes me happy, brings me joy, makes me feel valuable. That's what depression is.
Or make me think that my circumstances can change.
Come on now. So if
I think that's actually the kind of depression I had. So I didn't have a chemical depression. I had an environmental one. I had lost all hope of finding my place as a queer kid in the world. And so it drove me to thinking about suicide because I had no hope for where I would belong. And that's why I did philosophical and mental health work to recalibrate my place in the world, because that was for me what was missing is I had no hope. And so when people say, Brittany, how do you have hope right now? Well, I found my place in the universe. I know where I belong. Belonging is what we're seeking because we're in relationship too, right? So I do agree that some of us who experience depression are experiencing that category of depression. Not all categories of depression are that way. Some people have a very different relationship with depression. So I would just ask yourself, which category of depression do I fall under? And then I would seek out treatment for that form of depression because it's not the same for everybody. So I would be cautious with attaching this type of depression to everyone, but that was my type of depression.
I could be the hope advocate, if I can be what they got to look at or listen to get hope, if my backbone, my verticalness, my confidence tells a woman, you know what? It took me 30 years being with this dude, 20 years of being abused, but today I listened to that one Dr. Brian video.
And see, that's what I want to. I don't want people to feel like sunk cost fallacy. Like, I already gave 10 years to this. I already did this for 20 years. I don't care if you dedicated your whole life to a career for 50 years. You're allowed to change, right? I don't care if you've been in a relationship, as long as if you're in a toxic relationship or abusive home or something, you're allowed to change. You're allowed to get out 100%.
Today's the day that I realize I'm that motherfucker. Today's the day I'm going to stand on my square. Today's the day you won't put your hands on me. Today's the day I'm going to get up and pack up and me and these kids going to have to figure out how to do it. Then I want to be that for her. If it take one, then I did my job because my obedience is to God, ain't to y'all, none of these people. It is my duty.
Yeah, I think I'd like to believe that I'm giving tools to even one person. I'm not going to lie. That video I made over my commentary channel, my Bert Simon channel, about don't move in with your boyfriend. Guys, it breaks my heart how many comments are like, damn, I wish I had this video 5 years ago. Fuck, I wish I had this video 2 years ago. I wish I had this video 10 years ago. Like, Brittany, this was my story. And that's the point. Listen, not everything I make is for every kind of person, but the group I'm trying to reach, when it reaches that group that I'm looking for, I could cry just thinking about it. Ugh, like that makes me feel like, okay, I did it. Like I did the thing, you know? Honestly, I think that's the point, is all of us are trying to help a very certain specific kind of person. And like, it's just when it reaches that person, even if it's just one person, it's like, okay, I did it. I did it.
And I'm going to say y'all duty. You have so many women who will allow y'all to cheat. Let's keep it 100. If we're going to be on this podcast, y'all, I watch you guys podcasts all the time, and you guys keep it 100. Let's stop acting like you don't have men who say, I do it because I can. And she going to let me cheat. I'm not thinking about getting caught. Getting caught is furthest from my mind because I've already been caught 30 times. She never left. I can care less. I don't care. I'm going to do what I do. Just like you got women who say, I could text you and say, Daddy, I need a new Chanel bag. Baby, I'm hungry. And you going to run them plays, and I don't got to have sex with you. So why would I stop texting you to do it? I'm just saying. But it happens.
I'm not disagreeing.
I think people who use any reason to cheat are wrong, including but not limited to even abuse. Like, cheating isn't okay because you're being abused, but I can see why you cheated. Does that make sense? A man who says, my wife is not having sex with me and I need sex, is a man who is not asking, why won't my wife have sex with me? So when he goes, well, I cheated because she wouldn't have sex with me. And I'm sitting here thinking, you didn't think to ask her though? Like, why isn't she having sex with you? Oh, she says she's not in the mood. Yeah, but don't you think like that's like you guys should talk about that? Don't you think that's a big deal? Right? And there needs to be a conversation about that. Like, we need to have conversations about, again, any displays in behavior that are a problem, we talk about. And the problem can be small, right? Like, talk about it. What do you mean? Right? So I can understand why people do certain things. And I can also understand how people weaponize those things. I know men who were like, my wife wasn't having sex with me and I felt like it was abusive, so I cheated. That's not the kind of abuse I'm talking about. I'm saying if a woman is being beat by her husband every night, black and blue, and she finds comfort in a coworker and they have a relationship, I can see why she went and got comfort from somebody else who isn't beating her. I'm not talking about a man who's like, my wife won't have sex with me, but she won't explain why and I won't ask her, so I'm going to go cheat. I feel like I'm being abused. That's not abuse. That is you manipulating that language in order to justify stepping out, right? So I think the issue here is like, when you say, so is cheating all abuse? It depends on the cheater. Like, it depends on the context. But yes, if you're in the kind of relationship in which you are the cheater, and you are knowingly going behind your vows, knowingly deceiving your partner, knowingly putting them in a threatening position, knowingly exposing them to STIs or something else, then yes, you are abusive. Okay? But there will be situations in which people are literally being physically abused by their partners and cannot get out, and they will seek comfort in somebody else's arms. I would call this cheating that isn't abusive, but is a reaction from abusive behaviors. I would say the person who's starting the abuse, who is going out and doing it, when they know their wife would not like it or husband would not like it, like that is different. The situation is very specific, right? So you need to be very careful with this idea. Like I was, Dr. Kirkanda was reading Am I the Asshole the other day on Reddit, and this guy wrote in, it was such an interesting story where he wrote in and said, my girlfriend didn't want to have sex for a long time, so we stopped having sex, which wasn't a big deal. Then I started masturbating, and then when she would make a move on me years later to have sex, and I would say, oh, I'm good, I masturbated, she took it offensively. First of all, how the fuck did you go years without having sex and you didn't get to the bottom of why that was happening? I don't care if you have 5 years no sex, there should be a reason why that's happening. Again, I feel like people think consent is not fighting your partner. Like, girls, if my partner came to me and said, hey, I don't want to have sex with you, and 2 years passed by and I didn't know why, that we fucked up. Something went wrong. Because I think people hear like, oh, I'm not going to argue with her. Like, I'm not going to ask her questions because like, oh, like, now, again, you don't want to ask her, like, what do you want to have sex with me? What would you want to have sex with me? Like, you don't want to be a dick about it, but you should be curious and inquisitive. And, oh my God, baby, what's wrong? Are you okay? Yeah, let's talk about it. What's up? You know, what's going on? The goal isn't to fix it so we can have sex again. The goal is to understand you better so we can have a deeper relationship. You know what I mean? I think sometimes people hear this conversation and they go, oh yeah, I didn't care that she didn't want to have sex with me. I just didn't ask her why though. How are you guys going to stay married to people, live with people, you know what I mean? And aren't you curious at all? Don't you want to know why somebody is doing something? Heck, if my sister does something, I'm like, why'd you do that? You know what I'm saying?
But I don't think that's the norm.
Because I hear you, but what I'm not going to do is glamorize that men who cheat are that thoughtful enough to say, I don't want to get caught. No, if you are in the act of cheating, you never gave a fuck about getting caught. I'm not going to glamorize that.
Exactly. Exactly.
You can speak on it.
I can't because black men don't cheat.
I don't cheat, but
that's a fact.
But the ones who don't cheat, that's a different perspective.
Yeah.
You've cheated in your life?
No.
Ever?
No. But I've had that many relationships.
Cool.
I've been
cheated in your
I hate how shocking that seems to people. I do hate that people are like, you've never cheated. People have told me that too. You've never cheated. And I'm like, no. They're like, oh, you've never, like never. And I was like, no. But to be fair, I do think I am having a biological predisposition where I never think about it. It never crosses my mind to cheat. So to be fair, I actually think I can't really take credit for it because I never think about it. I really don't like people. Like, I don't know how to tell you guys how much. Like, I don't know how to communicate to people how much I do not like people like that. I am not about to get naked and penetrated and, you know, dirty and all these things for a what? I would rather just masturbate. Give me a vibrator. You know what I mean? I am not about to even get strap-ons, lube, condoms. You know, I'm just, you know what I mean? I don't need other girls' hair in my butt crack. You know what I mean? I'm good with my own. You know, I am not going to cheat. Too much work, not going to happen.
life?
Yeah.
Can I?
Every nigga in his life sans mark. And you did not want to get caught.
Yeah.
And
That's not true. It's not true.
But I hear what you're
I can
saying.
speak
Go.
I can speak
Okay, so this is the conversation we saw earlier where he was like, nobody ever thinks they're going to get caught when you commit a crime. But subconsciously, I do think sometimes people who do things bad want to get caught because they want someone to hold them accountable because they can't hold themselves accountable. But I think the thrill is also getting caught, kind of like when you're having sex in the car or you're exhibitionist and you're kind of like, will they see me when they won't? So it depends. It's layered.
Most of them have parental issues. See, we always talk about
Mommy issues affect women too.
mommy issues when it relates to men. But why don't we talk about mommy issues when it relates to women?
Mm-hmm. And what that
Because
looks
women
like.
have mommy issues as well.
A lot, yeah.
Okay? And what it looks like is a woman's mother abandons her, or, you know, maybe they were in competition their entire life growing up. You know, maybe the mom was competing with her or jealous of her, or the daughter was competing with the mama. You got a lot of things that go on between mother and daughter relationships. And that develops a certain disdain for that young lady towards her mother. Well, that same woman now doesn't know that subconsciously I got an issue with women. I got an issue with women. Any woman that comes in and identifies as anything similar to my mother, I'm triggered, and she doesn't know that. So I have no problem with dating a married man. I have no problem with fucking the shit out you know and you got a wife at home. Because every time I do that, guess who I get to feel like I am hurting or I'm poking at?
Your mom.
Come on now, it's who?
Yeah.
My mother. So this is why when we talk about the side chick, we always talk about, the side chick position and she's waiting to be picked. Let me say something. Sometimes she ain't waiting to be nothing. Sometimes being the side chick that role is actually satisfying her dysfunctional pain pocket and her trauma that y'all know nothing about. Sometimes it ain't even about you. She don't even want you. She got issues and trauma that she could bond with you on. That actually, I don't want to say
because in the man's mind, he might think, look, both these women want me, but this other woman might not even want you. She just knows you're married, so she can't have you, which makes you convenient to get her needs met.
I don't like to compliment that. Help her stay in her normalcy of her mother issues. And we don't talk about that enough. We make it seem like, oh, she's just desperate because she has daddy issues. She want to be the side chick. Nah, her father could have been a hell of a father. It could have been her mother who destroyed her. It's not always the man that comes in the house and is the one that's causing the trauma or causing the neglect.
It's true. And I guarantee you, her mother suffered because of patriarchy. Here's the dilemma. I have plenty of issues with my mother, and all of them stem from the patriarchal bubble she was raised in, that she herself could not break that generational curse, so I'll do it for her. Why do you think I stand on business so hard? Because I'm fighting for my mother. I'm fighting for all the women in my family. I'm fighting for my grandma who's married at 10 years old. I'm fighting for all the women in my family that couldn't save themselves as children. So I'll do it. Because at least I have the right skills and I have the right compassion to see how my mother suffered under those dynamics, under that patriarchy. And I see the way my mother engages in toxic masculinity. I see the way she throws women under the bus to protect men in the family. And I see it all through the lens of her being a child who's never protected by her family when she came to them for help. My mother begged her father for help and he was not there. She begged her mother for help and she could not help her. My mother was absolutely abandoned in her time of need. And so my mother abandons people in their time of need when it doesn't work within the constructs. My mother abandons her children for the same reason her parents abandoned her, because of fucking religion. It is absolutely religious. It's always the religious schema, because what is religion? Abandonment. What does Jesus say? Leave your families and cling to me. He told his apostles, he told Peter, leave your family and kids, leave your wife and children and cling to me. That's what I'm saying. This patriarchal religion teaches people to abandon their families because it doesn't work within the construct of their moral differences. I'm saying, like, this patriarchal religion is very much ruining my family, and it is ruining our dynamics. All of my family would have been connected. We love each other so fiercely, I can't even explain it to you. And the only thing between my mother and I is Jesus Christ himself. Jesus is cock-blocking my relationship with my mother. And she knows it. She knows it. And I know it. And my father knows it. And my siblings know it. We all know it. And until those family members are willing to decenter Jesus, we're never going to be able to have the childhood we wanted together, the life we wanted together, the one we pretend, the one we say when we call each other, I really wish you were lived near me. I wish we didn't think so differently. I wish we could all be together. We can be. Decenter Jesus. Decenter Jesus. But they won't. There you go.
It happens, but you got parents in the house. I always say present parents sometimes cause and present way more trauma.
It's a fact.
I want to.
Okay. Now I'll say this. We're gonna wrap up because we could do this all day. But you get the point, right? You get the point of dealing with different bubbles and where everybody's at. And so I really appreciate Dr. Cheyenne because I think her work is probably going to be very pivotal for her bubble. And personally, I would love to see her get away from the patriarchy of it all, but she's Christian, so I get it, right? And so, with all of this said, I would just say, it's the same thing, really ironically with the 4B movement and decenter men we've been doing all week, we're coming to an end, I suppose, is all these women, we're all trying to run away. You want to talk about avoidant personalities, running away from patriarchy, trying to figure out, should we be capitalists? Is this how we're going to free ourselves? Are we going to liberate ourselves? You liberate yourself by decentering patriarchy as a whole, and that includes its relationship to capitalism and its relationship to racism, right? Because these things are all connected. So Again, I have criticisms of Dr. Cheyenne, but I certainly want to give her props for, handling that situation so well, because some of those questions from some of those men, like, I could not, my face, like, I would need Botox before I went on that, you know what I mean? I would need Botox because of my facial expressions, you know what I mean?